My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is called Crossing Path. Amplified helicopter activity. Ongoing stalking. The more that you document the psychopaths, the more that they provide evidence against themselves, proving ongoing stalking as the allegations are substantiated in that evidence of a gang stalking police department using helicopters to monitor in the middle of the night. Not engaging in any law enforcement when they are keeping American citizens under surveillance and then exercising fictitious authority under the law with regard to engagement in law enforcement. That's not law enforcement, that's criminal surveillance. Those are psychopaths. And that's the entity that's called crossing path, audible activity, and light activity. The demons, who are the people of the state, are pacing. They're monitoring together. This is exactly what's happening at Starbucks under the fake sun. And the engineer light, they're in engineer light right now, and the demons are repeatedly using helicopter to show what is the hallmark of gang stalking by the people of the state. All right, they're doing so in the same exact engineer light. So this is P.O.C. So I will show you. Here's my shadow that is, again, on both sides of me. This is the specific environment where you are engaging in that pattern of conduct. Here's, you see, I'm waving my arm down here. It's kind of dark. You can all see, you can see more. Here is one shadow, and here. That's amplified audible activity, monitoring, crossing path, monitoring. And the demons of the Ontario police are doing that over me by helicopter, flying around me over by helicopter. The elements of monitoring, these are demons, gang stalking together. It's 12:11 a.m. on now Friday, June 6, 2025. And the demons of the Ontario Police Department are laying down the foundational understanding for domestic terrorism in this country, and it is championed by, and by championed I mean these are the egregious terrorists that are gang stalking through the executive branch, the corrupt law enforcement agencies. You're inherently corrupt because this criminal system of surveillance is supposed to be secretly underway, and it's violating the American and human rights and constitutional rights of American citizens. And then at that, they engage in what I'm documenting, targeting them while they are keeping you under surveillance unbeknownst to you. But again, the population that's in the United States, in this country, they're aware of surveillance because they're engaging in it. It's demonic. All right. It is currently 12:12. This is pacing. Driving an engineer light, flying above. This is pacing. That's law enforcement, gang stalking, monitoring together, and they're engaged in federal stalking as well. The entire entity is engaged in federal stalking. So this is P.O.C. This is what the entity is doing when I'm remaining at what is Woodside Senior Apartments, flying over the senior citizen complex. This is what the entity is doing when I'm at Woodside Senior Apartments with the commercial planes over the senior citizen complex. Concentrating the methods of relevant positioning where I'm at in that specific environment. This is P.O.C. Crossing path, audible activity, light activity. That's all pacing. They're monitoring with the police. All right, this is the pattern of conduct. These are demons who are pacing. So if you recall, the Ontario Police gang stalking under the fake sun while it's over me at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue at 11:54 a.m. They're stalking and they're exhibiting mental illness in doing so. The psychopathic pattern of conduct to gang stalk while wearing a law enforcement uniform and looking in the opposite direction as though you're concerned with something else. This is the entity obviously engaging in it while I document the pattern of harassment and terrorism using helicopters in that specific environment. The entity is doing so while it is under the fake sun at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue at 11:54 in the morning, where it remains at 6:41, where they punctuated the end of the day yesterday with the fake sun that remained over that Starbucks. This is the same pattern of conduct. It's not different. It's not distinct. It's not separate. The pattern of conduct is ceaseless, and the body of evidence is consistent. None of it is looked at in a vacuum. And this is also speaking to the pattern of conduct that the entity engages in while its co-defendants aid in that criminal endeavor. This is relevant positioning, light activity. And these are demons who are together targeting. Targeting is recognized in an environment that defies nature, such as my magnified shadow that's appearing taller than me on the opposite side and on this side as well. That's where the entity is engaging in that P.O.C. of stalking with helicopters in particular, which is the hallmark of recognizing gang stalking by corrupt law enforcement agencies. The mentally ill, the psychopaths who are gang stalking, the demon possessed, who are engaging in this while masquerading as legitimate law enforcement agencies, these are the ones providing the body of evidence. And it is their delusional mindset, which is providing that body of evidence, that wealth of evidence, which is, again, beyond any ability to be a coincidence, beyond any ability to be something that is under any circumstances normal, the specific environment combined with the behavioral pattern. And then you have what is the entity that engages in making up information about mental illness. They're not very intelligent, as I document. This is why you document the liars that they are. The Ontario police caught on more than one occasion lying in concert with the people of the state. Why are they lying? It's not only because they're demons, it's not only because they are engaging in what is targeting, but it's because they are gang stalking. In particular, the objective is to engage in kidnapping. Just lying about what I'm doing in order to have the superficial veneer of having a basis to arrest. That's kidnapping. Whether it looks like it appears conforms with the law or not, you don't have authority when you're stalking. Okay, so this is piercing through that, and this is going to be the unprecedented basis of recognizing that. And the entity is engaging in this while targeting me in addition to that. All right, this is amplified train activity where the Ontario police is gang stalking. Train activity, light activity, multiple shadows, shadow behind me. And you cannot hear that inside of Tracy Banks' apartment. You cannot hear this train inside of her apartment. You cannot hear AMR's gang stalking. You cannot hear that at Woodside Senior Apartments. This is the unintelligent system, and the body of evidence is speaking to what is not looked at in a vacuum. You're not forgetting that the entity is sounding train activity when I'm inside of Tracy Banks' apartment at 408 West G Street. You cannot hear the train inside of every single home in the city of Ontario because there's a train. In the same way that planes are not flying over everyone's home, every angle, every corner in Ontario because there's an airport in Ontario. The specific environment is what is informing what is going on. The specific environment, which is audible activity, light activity, and relevant positioning. This is P.O.C. The Ontario police are stalking a helicopter right now, and the elements are satisfied. And that's demonic. You see the train, but it has nothing to do with the level, the volume level. There's no planes taking off right here. That's hovering, and that's demonic as well. It's amplified audible activity. And the energy and the light activity is demonic as well. This is P.O.C. The demons are giving you a show with regard to how they engage in monitoring. This is the work of Satan. So the environment, the methods whereby they are doing as an entity together is maintaining presence and engaging in it while planes are taking off from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4. From what is, when I'm at Woodside Senior Apartments, flying much more in this direction and necessarily hovering over Woodside Senior Apartments, when right now when I'm at the museum, the entity is hovering over the museum. This is also where the entity is targeting, as you recognize it with the light activity. Targeting is also recognized with the unnatural volume level. The entity is engaging in what is the methods of what is criminal monitoring. Okay, so criminal monitoring is pursuant to what is stalking, and this is the government engaging in it, and the government's doing it on for the world to see. So you're looking at criminal surveillance, and it's also affecting the operation of communication devices. It's pursuant to the demons who are monitoring. The demons are watching me document them while they're engaging in voyeurism at the same time. The demons are exposing their own tactics for purposes of prosecution. That's P.O.C. All right, the Ontario police are repeatedly crossing paths, and that's criminal summoning. That's light activity, audible activity with my voice and relevant positioning, and using what is the system of surveillance with the people of the state. Who are the demons driving by Starbucks with impossible light shooting inside of the cafe? The demons that are being pulled over, engaging in the elements of monitoring together. That's light activity, relevant positioning, and the entity is maintaining the elements of monitoring. Okay, that's P.O.C. When you have the people of the state gang stalking, you're understanding the malice of that system. The entity is engaging what is targeting together. It's 12:19 a.m. on what is Friday, June 6, 2025. This is also evidence which is supporting the disbanding of kidnapping police departments that are gang stalking. They will be disbanded. It is, again, the entity is engaging in this. This is the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. An impossible light activity is created when they're using their police lights. Police lights don't cause your shadow to surround your person. Police lights don't cause your shadow to appear above your head. Police lights don't cause your shadow to be magnified in size. That's demonic when the demons are using what is a police vehicle as the method of light activity, where Satan is doing nothing other than wearing the meat suit of demons that put on police uniforms. It's demonic activity. It's criminal conduct as well because the government's engaging in surveillance. Okay, that's P.O.C. That's the people of the state. While that traffic stop, that's criminal summoning. they're monitoring, in other words, and they're monitoring together, they being the people of the state and the government proper. It's 12:20 a.m. It is Friday, June 6, 2025. It's currently 12:21 a.m. and this is documentation that is being captured at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where criminal surveillance is underway, and the pattern of conduct regarding what is domestic terrorism and psychological torture, where the entity is exposed as stalking through police departments, and the tactic of and the ability, the identifying factor of gang stalking by corrupt law enforcement agencies, because no legitimate law enforcement agency is gang stalking, that is engaging in criminal surveillance, violating the law while seeking to appear as though one that has the authority under the Constitution to enforce the law as the executive branch. That's a corrupt law enforcement agency, and it's also a corrupt law enforcement agency that's filled and infected with mentally ill people who are demon possessed. Demon possession is directly relevant to that mental illness, and it's occurring and affecting what is the engagement in criminal conduct that is also inhumane and quite barbaric and very malicious. This is what the Ontario Police Department, the City of Ontario, the people of the state are engaging in. As the police are gang stalking, it is necessarily including the people of the state. It is necessarily including the functions at every level of government that are facilitating corrupt police departments that are engaging in surveillance in the demonic manner as well, that I've also documented and captured. I just want to point out something. The video that you just listened to is pursuant to what is heavy helicopter activity. Remember, it's not just heavy helicopter activity, which is not anything that's normal, especially in the specific environment. For me, being one person, having captured so much helicopter activity, that in and of itself is suspicious. But it goes even beyond that. The evidence shows that the suspicion also includes the specific environment where that heavy helicopter activity is ongoing. And then you also pay attention to my documentation. As I document that heavy helicopter activity, that heavy police presence, it increases. So it goes from identifying one license plate of the police department to then at every about 15-20 minutes, and as I document in real time, meaning as I'm recording podcasts, as I capture video, more and more police vehicles crossing path, the demons engaging in and the demons I'm referring to are the demons who are the police department, the Ontario police, sounding their police vehicles and repeatedly engaging in helicopter activity. You're paying attention to all of that, not just, yes, you are paying attention while I'm legally analyzing, while they are gang stalking, using helicopters, using planes, using trains, and then the sound of those objects, which is amplified in volume, occurring in what is engineer light. My shadow is on both sides of my person, and that is not the light activity from what is the light fixtures on the buildings outside or street lamps. This is all speaking to the pattern of conduct, the demonic system of monitoring. But in addition to that, that's what I'm stating. You are looking at that. You're looking at black and white gang stalking by the entity. You're also paying attention. This heavy police presence that I'm documenting, this is relevant to psychological torture. This is exactly why I started documenting, because of the fact that being aware that police presence is so heavy and engaging in the pattern of talking to other people, engaging in things such as traffic stops, the passive aggressive psychopath engaging in targeting you through addressing someone else that's around you, keeping their back to you while they're stalking you, which is shown by just looking up and seeing the fake sun over you, or looking down and seeing your shadow surrounding yourself. And the more that you document the entity that is gang stalking, like I'm documenting tonight, the more that the entity engages in gang stalking by helicopter, which is, again, the pattern of conduct of psychological torture. But that pattern of conduct of psychological torture, engaging in more of that which is documented, more of that which is observed, is speaking to the inevitable prosecution and removal from law enforcement and placement in federal prison and mental asylums of the very demons who are engaging in that conduct. This is the entity that is, again, surrounded by its own cycle of the pattern of conduct. These are demons. When I state exactly what I'm stating, I'm not stating demons as in the way that people use it. Oh, you're a demon, meaning you're just a bad person. These people are filled with the spirit of Satan. This is demonic activity, and these are demon-possessed individuals who are acting as one group. Because it's the government, it's a public entity. The public entity is acting with the people of the state. That's how you have gang stalking at the apartment complex, Woodside Senior Apartments, and at Alvarado Gardens. It's not the police station. It's not the courthouse where the criminal pattern of conduct is underway at a state facilitating venue. It's at what's supposed to be, it's under the guise, it's maliciously executed at a facilitating venue where the people of the state reside engaging in the elements of monitoring. This is why you have a fake sun remain over the apartment building. This is why you have the police engaging in what is gang stalking over that apartment complex in helicopter, and I just document it. So I want to make sure that you're mindful of that. This is, again, evidence against the Ontario Police Department's co-defendant, Tracy Banks. And this is, again, the psychopathic pattern of conduct is that which is presenting evidence against itself. The entity is going to answer for what it is that it has been engaging in, not just tonight, but for years. And it is beyond what is any sort of coincidence. And it's also, it is axiomatic, this type of police presence against, and also the helicopter, the hallmark of presence with helicopter in that environment, and also paying attention to, the more that I document, how the psychopaths escalate and the threat that they pose while they gang stalk. So the more that I document, the more that I speak to gang stalking by helicopter, the more that the demons engage in gang stalking via helicopter in particular. Helicopter, stalking via helicopter is one method of many to engage in the elements of monitoring: light activity, audible activity, and relevant positioning. Relevant position to where I am, I'm the one who's being stalked by a demon flying a helicopter. Light activity with regard to surrounding me with engineered light and being in the path with regard to stalking while that engineered light is being maintained. You are engaging in those elements in all manner of different ways, including by just sitting in a cafe all day long while the fake sun sits over the building, and that's supposed to be the guise of light shooting in like an arcade, while the Ontario police do exactly what they're doing now, pacing all around me while I am at that venue. This is what's going on during the daytime. What's going on at nightfall. And the entity is gang stalking all day long, both on and off camera. So the entity is engaging in what is, again, a futile and a feckless and a self-harmful, it's detrimental to the entity that has no legitimate position in court. Okay, the entity that's engaging in waging false allegations, they did it against someone that's been documenting a pattern of false allegations that are not just false, they're malicious because they're stalking. Pay attention to making up information about mental illness and the fact that this same department seems to be following me around everywhere I go in helicopters, both day and night. And don't forget to look up in the sky when the sun remains over me for 11 hours in the day, when this same police department is harassing me, and not coincidentally in that supernatural environment, following me around in helicopters all day long. Helicopters that do not create earthquakes as they fly over the apartment building. That's sensational activity creation. All right, the entities that's understanding the connection of all the evidence. The entities engaging in what is very heavy police presence, and again, crossing path again right now at 12:27 p.m. This is what the entity is doing. If you'll recall my evidence, when I'm in the apartment at Tracy Banks's Woodside Senior Apartments Unit 51, and I would be narrating the pattern of conduct, and the entity is repeatedly sounding amplified audible activity, even while I'm documenting. And as I'm documenting in real time, amplified booming heard inside of the apartment. The Ontario police are gang stalking in the sky space, gang stalking like they are now, where I can see them, and they're pacing all around the apartment complex while the fake sun remains over me in the building that I'm at Woodside Senior Apartments. That's the significance of the amplified noise, even while I'm during the course of the documentation. Those aren't lousy neighbors. That's amplified audible activity under the fake sun and engineered light. That's what they're doing outside. Okay, and the demons do it more in very obvious manners, such as giving me evidence, a body of evidence. I don't need it. I have so much evidence. I can create a playlist about all the tons of times when they're stalking me, flying in circles, severely mentally ill as they exhibit. They prove it through their own conduct. And it's literally on YouTube, the mentally ill gang stalking by helicopter. So the entity is engaging in this, and I'm merely pointing out all of the points of analysis. Don't only pay attention to what I'm legally analyzing, because it's the P.O.C. It's the elements of monitoring in the specific environment. My shadows on both sides of myself. You're looking at what is activity creation, gang stalking by police, who are also keeping the fact that you're documenting and prosecuting them under surveillance, and these who are subject to what is hard evidence, tangible evidence, which no one's disregarding this evidence. Only the demons tell themselves that it's not going anywhere, that it's not going to happen, that them being engaged in literally their position is what's going to be their safe harbor and ability to get away with breaking the law in all the ways in which I've shown that they are clearly breaking the law. They're delusional. And you don't get this far in this juncture of evidence for naught. Okay, so the entity is engaging in very heavy police presence. This is, again, based on a threat, and that's also how you're going to legally analyze any stalker. So the stalker is making itself visibly present the more I document. The stalker is making itself more audibly present, more so the more I document. This is underway, for example, with impossible light activity, like I was documenting at Starbucks. The more that I'm publishing online about the kidnapping, the more that I'm publishing details, identifying B. Hook, identifying L. Martinez, identifying C. Torres, identifying Nathan Morgan by name, and Tracy Banks in the first kidnapping. The more I get into the details of that kidnapping, where they were clearly not even capable of keeping a lie together. So Tracy Banks just engaged in what is alleging that I hit her. That was the tactic to get in, to have the Ontario police have some sort of basis, and it's all fictitious because they're gang stalking. But nonetheless, this is the guys where corrupt law enforcement agencies are relying on criminal summoning in order to commit a kidnapping. So they're engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are providing a body of evidence against themselves and against the people who are necessarily engaging in it. And when I'm in Starbucks and the entity is engaging in more and more impossible light activity, like you see at 4 o'clock, well, you see Raquel gang stalking, and you're looking at the leather seats inside of that Starbucks on the inside of the building, and on the outside of the building, the fake sun is above it, and you're looking at what is under no circumstances light shooting through the sides of their vehicles, but it's coexisting with their crossing path. They're pacing. This is what these demons are doing now while the Ontario police are pacing around in helicopter. The Ontario police are gang stalking all day long while I'm at the Starbucks, and the evidence is the fake sun and the impossible light activity. And the more that I document a psychopath, that psychopath acts out. They're demonstrating mental illness while they communicate a threat, being seen more and more after I document that sex offender, that gang stalker in vehicle number 1107. The entity is engaging in what is communicating a threat by gang stalking in a more obvious and obsessive manner. They are obsessed with my vagina, and that obsession with my vagina results in them engaging in more and more stalking in helicopter tonight. Their obsession with my vagina and my publishing it about that fact. Okay, I'm not going around looking for helicopters. The helicopters are following me, and the fact of them following me is proven through the fake sun documentation. The fake sun remains over me, where the demons are obsessed with my vagina, keeping it under surveillance. And the hostile sex offenders and gang stalkers engage in more stalking conduct, which is documented on video and in podcast to prosecute them. But this is the P.O.C. for psychological torture. The psychological torture tactic is to engage in that and more of that which the entity is watching you experience. You're watching me prosecute you. This is, again, the delusional psychopath that's, again, more obsessed with my vagina, more obsessed with stalking me than realizing that more and more evidence, a repository of it, a wealth of it, a surplus of it, is accumulated already, and I'm getting more and more videos. And that's the pattern of conduct by understanding the diagnosis of psychopaths, because the more that they engage in it, the psychopath engages in more of it. And this is the P.O.C. in the specific environment. This isn't law enforcement. I have shadows on both sides of my person. These objects out here in the museum, the trees and the bushels, they have perpendicular shadows. This is impossible light activity. And the demon possessed have already shown the people of the state are gang stalking. That's why they have light shooting off the side of their cars when they drive by me. They're gang stalking with the demons who are repeatedly providing video evidence of targeting using helicopters. And that's a police department that shall be disbanded. Any police department kidnapping upon federal group stalking and monitoring is going to be disbanded. This is Nathan Morgan, evidence against Nathan Morgan, who's going to federal prison, evidence against B. Hook, who's going to federal prison, evidence against L. Martinez, who's going to federal prison. And like I've stated, the demons engaging in what is kidnapping with regard to that P.O.C. The entity is doing so with regard to an ongoing obsessive endeavor. Okay, so the police are pacing all around at the museum while the train is amplified audible activity. It's the same pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. It's speaking to the demon's obsession with my vagina, so don't forget about that, because that's what inspires them to provide me more evidence while they continuously gang stalk on video and in podcast. And that's exactly why very specific state actors are going straight to federal prison when I prosecute them by name. It's currently 12:35 a.m. This is P.O.C. Union Pacific is amplified in volume, just like the plane activity is amplified in volume. There's no planes taking off over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, nor over Unicare at C Street and Euclid, where the fake sun is over me at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, nor over Woodside Senior Apartments at 408 West G Street, nor over the TABOR Professional Building when I'm outside along G Street, nor is it remaining over while the entity is keeping the fake sun, nor is the moon going to remain over me at nightfall where the sun remains over me all day long. That's an environment that's designed, it's engineered for targeting, it's recognizing targeting. The demon-possessed are very mentally ill, psychopaths, obsessed. They engage in more of their psychopathic behavior. They have an obsessive bend. They have a maniacal, demented mind state, and they lack self-control. So the more that they engage in that which they're accustomed to getting away with, they are not able to recognize the fact that they're not getting away with it, and that it's not going to end well for them, and that they are going to suffer the consequences that I told them about beforehand. And that's why I have multiple videos tonight of stalking in the specific environment via helicopter, while the psychopaths use a police department. They're all pacing around in police vehicles at nightfall, stalking a woman. And they're mad because I am documenting the fact that they're stalking me. That's a psychopath by definition. Okay? You are hostile and aggressive because your criminal, your sexually violent, your demented psychopathic behavior is being exposed, and it's not capable of being maintained as a secret anymore. The demon-possessed are angry about that. Hence the amplified audible activity, hence the stalking by helicopter, hence the pacing around in police vehicles more and more frequently as I document. That's all a legally relevant threat that you prosecute for. Okay, the Ontario Police Department are engaged in stalking, not law enforcement. They're engaged in surveillance, not law enforcement. Okay, and that's just the function of government that tells on everybody else. The police department is gang stalking and is relying on the corruption of the government, relying on the corruption of the people to engage in that system together. And newsflash, they're all demons. They're demon possessed. It is currently 12:37 a.m. The entity engaging in that, with that video that you just listened to, a couple of videos that you just listened to, I keep gathering more because the entity is engaging in this, and this is upon my documenting that demon at the intersection. The demons engage in a pattern of a delusion of thinking that they're getting retaliation, and I am accumulating a body of evidence that's going on the internet, and then the demons are mad about that because I published the evidence. They're psychopaths. They are very, very much sick, not only because they're targeting, but then they're delusional because I'm prosecuting you, and that's not being forgotten and just dissolving into the universe. It's sitting on the record. What you did in 2020, what you did in 2019 is sitting on the record, waiting to be brought out with regard to your pattern of stalking and harassment and kidnapping. This is the entity that is, again, very much mentally ill, not only based on their stalking me as a department and as a city, and as I've shown, as I go from city to city, this is a statewide P.O.C, but they're sick with regard to their reaction, their response to being faced with what is resistance, meaning I'm going to enforce my rights and I'm going to force you to understand that this is not permitted anymore. So what you've been doing to other people, it's not going to remain a secret, and no department, no state's going to be able to do this anymore, and it be maintained some mystery. Nobody, no. Gang stalking is a fact, and the demonic pattern of conduct is a fact as well. And it's going to be used to both diagnose and prosecute. And that's exactly what I'm pointing out. And I do not have to have an advanced degree in medicine in order to show you psychopathic tendencies while they engage in their criminal pattern of conduct. And by the way, when I'm subject to gang stalking by medical professionals, that is further corroborating my point. Those psychopaths are engaging in what is the malicious practice, the fraudulent and criminal misuse of the practice of medicine to engage in criminal surveillance. They're demons asking you, how are you feeling today? In engineered light. Psychopaths. I do not have to have an advanced degree to point out the psychopathic tendencies of the actually mentally ill, who are in professions and in industries where they pose a threat to the national security, to the American public, who need to know that they're being kept under surveillance, and they need to know that they're subject to being targeted in the ways in which I am showing how that is executed. And it's entirely demented. Looney Tune bucket crazy. Okay, seriously, out of their minds, very psychotic. If you're talking about very much out of their rational mind, these are demons who are ticking time bombs, and it is literally a danger to the public that they practice medicine, that they practice the law, that they are in law enforcement, that they have access to children, and they being the demon possessed. But this is the reality of what's surrounding. That's what's flying over repeatedly in a helicopter. Not going anywhere, sitting around, still stalking in the sky space, in relevant position in a helicopter right now, listening to everything that I'm stating, and engaging in what is, like I stated, a provision of evidence. So I'm going to publish onto the internet all of the videos that I got of gang stalking by helicopter, adding to the list. I have hundreds and hundreds of videos of the Ontario Police stalking, not engaging in what is law enforcement. There's no, none of this is looked at in a vacuum. It's coexisting with what the people of the state are doing as well. It's happening in more than one county as well. Beyond a coincidence, what LAPD is doing in the same specific environment that is under no circumstances natural, that's all relevant, while they're providing me a bunch of video evidence tonight regarding gang stalking by the Ontario Police, okay? That's the entity that's stalking in close proximity when you can hear the loud volume of a vehicle sounding. Those are the demons that are up stalking all night. Okay, law enforcement is not engaging in stalking, because that's what the Ontario Police Department are doing. Law enforcement is not the practice, the training, the purpose of stalking American citizens. And that's what the Ontario Police Department is engaging in. That's amplified audible activity of a demon that's hostile, sick of listening to me speak. And I'm still speaking because they're still stalking, by the way. And if they weren't obsessed with my vagina, then they would not be so triggered. Okay? If they weren't obsessed with my vagina, then they would not engage in what are ongoing documented acts of kidnapping. The entity is engaging in this because of the truth that I speak, and because of the truth that I speak so forcefully. But I'm not just speaking for my own desire to hear myself speak. I'm speaking because I'm letting you know about what's going on. These are demons, and these are stalkers. Law enforcement is not stalking. Ontario Police, they're stalkers. And not only that, they're sex offenders. Why are they interested in my vagina? Because they're sex offenders. Why are they stalking me in bathrooms where the demon-possessed people of the state pace around with impossible light activity as well? Because they're sex offenders. Law enforcement is not stalking. That's what Ontario Police Department is engaged in, stalking. All right, and they're the demon-possessed who are stalking. Interested in the vagina of a woman that they don't even know. They don't even know me. You know what their obsession with my vagina is? Their obsession with me is because they are demon-possessed. The spirit of Satan is using them. And the spirit of Satan that is in them is speaking to their inevitable demise. The prosecution of this particular department that's riddled with demons. Okay, that's what's sounding its vehicle right now in close proximity, amplified in volume, amongst impossible light activity. It's ongoing monitoring. Ongoing monitoring. All right, this is what's going on in the country, by the way, because you are surrounded by impossible light. You have a fake sun over you wherever you are in this country. And I'm talking to everyone because there's necessarily more than one sun while it sits over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue for over 7 hours, like I documented yesterday, June 5th, 2025. Today's June 6, 2025. While you are looking at my evidence, it's informing you about what you are subject to, whatever state that you're in this country. And not only that, it's informing you about the condition of those that are in that environment and the criminal conduct that they engage in, aside from keeping you under surveillance on behalf of the government that has no constitutional or legitimate interest in doing so. That's not constitutionally authorized. In addition, they're demons who are targeting together, maliciously conspiring against American citizens and doing so as a matter of public corruption. And they are absolutely maniacal psychopaths. These are the demons that make up the crime rate. These are the demons that make up what is the issues with public safety. It's the demon possessed. Okay, the entities engaging in this, and the demon possessed fill the Ontario Police Department. They fill the state of California. This is a public corruption issue with regard to criminal surveillance. So I want to make sure that is noted as well, because when you're listening to, and when you can see, because I'm going to publish them so you can look at them, but when you're listening to video after video after video, those are the demons that engage in psychopathic behavior, seeking to engage in what is a psychological torture tactic. And the fact that I can rattle that out, again, you're talking about delusion. These are, in fact, the demon possessed. They're more obsessed with me than being sober-minded and recognizing that their tactics are not effective on me. I'm prosecuting. I am providing a tutorial. I'm using them as an example. I'm going to prosecute and teach others. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. The demon possessed engage in an ongoing cycle. That's why I have thousands of videos of them in particular stalking. All right, it's currently 12:44 a.m. The entity is engaged in an ongoing campaign focused on me. They are all together collectively obsessed with my vagina. That's what you need to know about every function of government in Ontario. Violent sex offenders stalking a woman, monitoring her in the private space, monitoring her with knowledge that she's documenting it with regard to wanting to continuously engage in that sexual violence because of that obsession, because of that perversion, because of that predatory mind state, and also aggressive and hostile because their sexual perversion is exposed openly and published. And yes, absolutely, I will call you out as a sex offender when you are engaging in sexual violence. You should always do that. Don't ever hold the secrets of a sex offender. That's not yours to hold. You point the finger, you point out that sex offender. It is the Ontario Police Department. So they're obsessed with my vagina, and that's why they're stalking, because that's what's happening with helicopter and engineered light, where the fake moon is present, where the fake sun is already documented over at every hour during the day at this Ontario Museum of History and Arts. While the entity is doing the exact same thing in Los Angeles amongst the Los Angeles Police Department. That's a pattern that is speaking to what is under no circumstances beyond any sort of suspicion that the Ontario police they're delusional. And like I stated, they are going to be prosecuted in ways in which they have not calculated, because they're more concerned about my vagina. They're more concerned about the words that I'm stating and their offense to it. They're being triggered by it rather than recognizing that I'm speaking in terms very clearly about what's going to happen with evidence that I can do it with. Evidence that supports what it is that I'm stating they are doing. Not just making statements and not able to support it with tangible evidence. These demons are very much mentally ill, and that is relevant to the heavy police presence, evidence of stalking in the engineer light. If it was a natural environment, then you're talking about heavy police presence, and that's not enough. It's in the specific environment. It's where the fake sun rises and sets over me. It's where the fake moon is over me also at night. It's where shadows surround my person. Shadows are on both sides of my person, where volume of everything is amplified in sound. The heavy police presence is pursuant to stalking, and the stalker is also keeping the evidence about its stalking under surveillance. That's an intent to communicate a threat while increasing that presence. You're going to prosecute for all of that. I'm not missing any of those points, and I want to make sure that you don't miss it either. Pay attention. Because the demons who are obsessively consumed with me, they're also obsessed with my vagina, and they're also engaged in what is communicating a threat while providing this heavy documentation about gang stalking all night long using helicopters. The more that I document, the more that a psychopath engages in more of it, because that psychopath doesn't understand that there's going to be a day when you're going to answer for every every piece of evidence that was provided with regard to what the pattern that's documented could only be. All right, it is 12:47 a.m. This is P.O.C. at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where the Ontario police are stalking me, and the Ontario police are stalking because the people of the state are stalking. They're doing it together. Where the people of the state are stalking, which is evident through impossible light activity under the fake sun, the specific environment, that's where you're recognizing this. These aren't a bunch of strangers that are just shopping at the mall. This is gang stalking happening at the mall. And gang stalking is requiring a single focus, the targeted individual. And it's not based on your ability to understand that or believe it. It's based on the evidence proving it. The fake sun, the impossible light activity, the stalking by the state, the impossible light, the entity that's engaging in the methods of targeting, the proof of targeting is the evidence that makes it absolutely believable and proven as a fact that gang stalking is underway. It is entirely pathetic that a police department is using the resources to engage in stalking, and that's not the practice of law enforcement. It's criminal activity. This is P.O.C. This is the gang stalkers who are the city of Ontario. I just started walking, so you'll hear the vehicle starts moving as I start walking. They're stalking with activity. This is the same city of Ontario, gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments under the fake sun. Loitering and the plain activity is coexisting. License 1478351. The city of Ontario, gang stalking under the same exact circumstances. It's the city that is engaging in the P.O.C. together, and the vehicle is literally moving the moment that I get up and start walking. If I sit still, then the demons are just loitering in the path. This is light activity, amplified audible activity, crossing path. And the demons arrive pursuant to what is the municipality's efforts in monitoring as I begin documenting and writing Colton, California gang stalking. So maintaining a method of not only harassment, but monitoring activity right in my presence. And it's in the form of City of Ontario. This is P.O.C. All right. It's inspired by what I'm doing, where I'm doing it, and it's occurring in the specific environment. It's the City of Ontario gang stalking. It's 6:59 a.m. This is occurring in concert with amplified plane activity. All right, this is pursuant to the documentation serving to prosecute the City of Ontario, which is the state, gang stalking. And the demons that work for the city that are engaging the P.O.C., it's the same with the police department, the fire department, the Ontario International Airport, maintaining the elements of monitoring. So where I'm seated at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library in between the senior citizen, this is where the entity has the tremendous amplification that's, remember, heard inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, crashing dumpsters at the moment that I began documenting, in the impossible light that's inside of that apartment, under the fake sun that's over that apartment building for the duration of the day. It's the elements of monitoring as the City of Ontario engages in it. And they sit in loiter and relevant position, maintaining ongoing activity until the moment that I get up. That's when the demon moves the vehicle and begins actually emptying garbage, which is all activity creation as well. It is the same stalking behavior. It's by the same City of Ontario that is documented gang stalking all night, as I captured in video, by helicopter, and by the demons of the Ontario Police, who are aware that they are being published again because of evidence that they provide, because they're still engaged in gang stalking, which is domestic terrorism, as I publish it online. Hence the overnight campaign of the ongoing P.O.C., which they've been engaged in for years, so it's nothing new. The kidnapping on May 29, 2025 is pursuant to the same exact pattern of conduct. They committed a kidnapping while they were gang stalking with the same third party, Tracy Banks, and the people of the state at Woodside Senior Apartments. Tracy Banks and all of her sex partners, Tracy Banks and all of her co-defendants, the people of the state whose name I know, are fully engaged in and interested in my kidnapping as well. The entity utilizing criminal defamation when they are engaged in gang stalking is the quintessence of malice. When they are employing psychological torture, they're employing gang stalking me at work. And this is also why you document, to show every angle of the entity that is targeting with regard to the purpose of ultimately kidnapping. Remember, kidnapping, being held in a facility pursuant to what are allegations, assertions about your character, assertions about, for example, seeking to criminally defame your inability to take care of yourself, your unwillingness even, or however the entity would frame those circumstances, as opposed to the entity targeting you in the workplace. And that is a documented pattern. But not only that, the entity engaging in what is assertion of criminal activity that also the target individual has not engaged in. That is also pursuant to the same objective, criminal objective upon gang stalking, to kidnap, to keep you in a facility for criminal conduct that you have not even committed. This is the pattern of conduct, understanding how that system operates and how, as I've been documenting it, and it's directly relevant to the allegations, to the criminal conduct, to the malice of the entity, not just the falsity of what the entity has engaged in, but the malice of it, because the entity engages in what is targeting for that purpose. And the documentation, the evidence is serving to expose the truth, but also to prosecute for that targeting method, targeting in furtherance of kidnapping and murder. It is currently 7:02 a.m. Amplified planes are no longer over the museum. Amplified planes not happening what would be south of this location, over the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Amplified plane is right here at the senior center.
at 7:03 a.m. Another senior citizen complex where planes are hovering over them, far from any Terminal 2 or Terminal 4 where they're not taking off over the senior center, over the parking lot. You take off from the airport and they would already be at an elevated space where you're not even going to hear the planes. It's a method of targeting. And it's also very vivid when you see the impossible light activity and then you are looking at the method of targeting. It's also clear when you see the fake sun over me and then you are able to identify the method of targeting. The entity is doing so while that specific environment remains through the amplified audible activity and also through the maintenance of the pattern of conduct activity creation in that specific environment. And so this is relevant to what it is that I'm documenting, where the City of Ontario employs the demons who operate the dumpster trucks to maintain light activity and audible activity. And it's also harassment as you document. The entity engages in that and doing so in concert with the amplified plane activity. That's the context regarding the demons of the municipality arriving to empty the dumpsters of the senior citizen complex and the senior center right where I'm at in order to maintain activity around me with knowledge of what it is that I'm documenting as I'm documenting it. It's currently 7:04 a.m. on June 6, 2025, P.O.C. All right, the kidnapping that did occur on May 29, 2025, pursuant to criminal summoning, which is within the pattern of conduct. It is the entity demonstrating malice while they are engaged in that same exact ceaseless pattern of conduct. And that is in the form of the police that are gang stalking are then summoned within the operation of that corrupt system to entertain the assertions of the people of the state who are targeting with the police while they engage in an intent to seize the person and this is what Tracy Banks is engaging in. And again, like I've stated, Tracy Banks is already documented as one openly communicating her unlawful purpose to obstruct justice while I'm documenting literally gang stalking that she's engaged in where she resides with the people of the state at that venue of Woodside Senior Apartments. So, this is pursuant to this kidnapping on May 29, 2025, and I am kidnapped as of 8:45 p.m. I'm inside of Officer C. Torres's vehicle, and I am subject to this kidnapping, which I will, again, like I stated, will provide the documentation speaking to the pattern of conduct that's always underway. The P.O.C, the elements of monitoring, ceaselessly remain. The entity that is gang stalking then engages in what is the fictitious exercise of authority under the law while they're simultaneously gang stalking, making malicious allegations because they're not just false. The entity is targeting with false allegations in order to kidnap, and also doing so because of the documentation, exposing their criminal activity with the intent to obstruct justice, in other words. And the entity is doing so while they are engaging in that pattern of conduct, even in real time. Literally, the kidnapping, the arrest, the drive to whatever facility, they're monitoring simultaneously. This is the heights of hypocrisy and the heights of malicious and criminal activity by the corrupt government. It is public corruption. So while I'm subject to this kidnapping as of 8:45 p.m., the latest time that I'm able to see when the Ontario Police Department put their hands on me and put handcuffs on me and take my property in the form of my cell phone and all of the rest of my property, which on video Tracy Banks is seen damaging my property, seen taking it out of the apartment, throwing it outside, and making a series of threats, while also engaging in seeking to initiate an altercation while she is engaged in what is method 2, the kidnapping attempt that's going to now include allegations of violence because it didn't work when she merely asserted, oh, she takes medications. No, I don't. And what medications are you talking about? What HIPAA information? You could see me go through that inquiry with both the officers and Tracy Banks, who cannot keep their lies together while they are in real time just freestyling, making up defamatory and injecting subjects that are inapplicable in order to engage in what is a reaction. Actually, that's the type of thing that the entity engages in to get a reaction from the targeted individual in order to support, oh, we need to conduct a health check. That's the type of thing that you are doing to trigger that person that is subject to that circumstance. And being aware of this, I'm documenting. That's exactly why I captured it on video. So I want to document, again, what I'm going to document right now are the people of the state that I documented from the point of kidnapping, again, on May 29, 2025 at approximately 8:45 p.m. after the entity is engaged in what is the malicious assertions of physical violence against Tracy Banks and upon criminal summoning while the entity is engaged in gang stalking. And then until release on June 3rd at approximately 2:39 p.m., where the entity is gang stalking for the entirety of that during the course of the whole kidnapping, monitoring in a hospital, and then engaging in the fictitious exercise of medicine. It's pursuant to the pattern of conduct in the engineer light under the fake sun, amplified helicopter activity while inside of that facility, and that amplified helicopter activity, which is occurring pursuant to following my acts of documentation, amplified helicopter activity with sound inside of Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, following my acts of reporting the facility for its series of violations of my rights pursuant to a detention in that facility. And this is, again, pursuant to malicious assertions by the gang stalkers themselves, the Ontario Police, the state of California, the people of the state, Tracy Banks, which is the state of California that's targeting, engaging in a kidnapping together via criminal summoning. Those malicious assertions are what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center then relies on to kidnap while they are in the facility gang stalking. And the hallmark is underway. Helicopter activity is sounding, and I documented it specifically. And that's, again, what I will expound upon. But I want to make sure that I'm reading these license plates because I have already set up what is the pattern of conduct which remains underway while I'm in the hospital, and then upon being released at approximately 2:39 p.m. on June 3rd, 2025, the entity is gang stalking while I'm walking from the hospital to the bus stop where the pattern of conduct is rampant underway, and it's the pattern of conduct while I was subject to kidnapping inside of the facilities as well. So this is what's relevant about the people of the state and the entity following me from the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, getting on OMNITRANS, which is a gang stalker, and all the entity is following me from place to place, stalking while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct. As I go then to Fontana, the Fontana Metrolink train station, at which I've already documented the city of Fontana, and the entity is engaged in stalking as I then get on OMNITRANS, a documented gang stalker, replete with the fake sun visible through the window of that bus when the entity is maintaining this light source from the beginning to the end of the day at other places, such as Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, like I documented at the venue of the Woodside Senior Apartments. And the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct as I remain subject to it on an ongoing basis. So the placement of the fake sun that is visible through the windshield of the OMNITRANS bus that's coming toward Ontario, the city of Ontario, which is not going to be seen over the roof of the Woodside Senior Apartments, which is not going to be seen at the same time of year in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens. This is the entity that's gang stalking from city to city, engaging in what is understanding the bigger picture, a kidnapping that this entity that is gang stalking me committed, and which I resisted with regard to the ability to demonstrate how it's merely malicious assertions and there is no evidence of any mental illness, and they were false assertions made by the police and Tracy Banks together, and that it was Arrowhead Regional Medical Center that unreasonably relied on it, especially in the face of what it is that I'm telling them. But this is all under the guise of them actually having authority. Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is a gang stalker. But even in their alternate universe where they exercise fictitious authority under the law, I am exposing and documenting for prosecution the entity that engages in such exercise of fictitious authority in order to kidnap as an entity. All right. So this is, again, initiated by Tracy Banks, which the government relies on. The government that acts directly relies on the government acting vicariously, Tracy Banks, the people of the state, in order to initiate such kidnappings. All right. And so that's what's relevant with regard to the false charges that are then put into writing by the gang stalking police that are then submitted to the gang stalker, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, who are then engaging in what is an unlawful detention while they exercise fictitious authority under the Welfare and Institutions Code. And it is in the specific environment where the entity is amplifying helicopter activity as I report the violations of that facility upon that unlawful detention and it is unlawful. There's mandated disclosures that the facility is supposed to provide. They did not. They then go behind and state, oh yeah, we did. We just put it in the record. Did he give it to me? Stuff like that, which I will expound upon as well. But nonetheless, it's an unlawful detention as they violate the law while they detain me. And remember, this is all under the guise of not addressing even gang stalking. It's all a violation of the law because they're engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. All right, while they exercise authority under the Welfare and Institutions Code that they do not actually have, because no targeting hospital, no targeting state will unlawfully detain an American citizen as in furtherance of the purpose, the objective to kidnap them via criminal defamation. And that's what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center and the Ontario Police Department, which is the state of California, are engaging in on May 29, 2025 through June 3rd, 2025. So the helicopter activity is recurring inside of the hospital. That is literally uncharacteristic of a hospital where you're supposedly providing mental health services, a peaceful, quaint environment, where restorative with regard to whatever needs it is, and a peaceful and quiet environment is directly opposite of what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, that's engaged in psychological torture in the impossible light, and also doing so. It's not just that specific environment, which is included. Helicopter activity is a part of the specific environment. I've identified at the outset, gang stalking by helicopter is an identifying factor. And then that specific environment that defies nature is identifying the presence of that pattern of conduct. And this is what's going on at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. And it's pursuant to also recognizing what it is. The helicopter activity is occurring, amplified in volume inside of the hospital as I would report the facilities, meaning calling the county patient's rights advocate office, reporting the failure to provide any sort of responsibilities that they were, disclosures that they were supposed to provide, contact information that they were supposed to provide. And this is while not even addressing the fact that they're gang stalking. This is when the entity would engage in helicopter activity inside of the facility. The entity has maintained impossible light activity inside of the facility. The patients, the personnel all together, every single person in that venue is monitoring while they have double and triple shadows that are perpendicular and vacillating from being on both sides of their person to being all around their person when they are pacing in that hospital amongst amplified audible activity, which is also exceeding just helicopter activity. It's including amplified rumbling through the walls, amplified toilet flushing when nobody's even flushing any toilets, as though someone is kicking and beating the walls. All of this is uncharacteristic of that which is supposed to be happening in a hospital that's purportedly providing mental health services, a sort of restorative program to aid people in what are their plights regarding their mental health. The entity is engaged in psychological torture while it is gang stalking inside of the hospital, which is in Colton, California. The entity is maintaining impossible light. The entity is maintaining the fake sun, as I already documented in June of 2022. The entity is also documented engaging in impossible light activity while medical professionals pace in it, documented in 2022 for you to witness with your own eyes. The entity documented gang stalking in the specific environment while I'm in Los Angeles, and on the same day at the same time, I'm showing you what's impossible to be at the entrance of the behavioral health unit at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, and also outside of my bedroom window, creating any sort of light inside of my room with regard to Arrowhead Regional Medical Center being a gang stalker seeking to kidnap with the state. The specific environment is already established, therefore. As I am released from kidnapping on June 3rd, 2025 at approximately 2:39 p.m., the people of the state are engaged in stalking from place to place as an entity, gang stalking, and doing so in the demonic manner that I have documented with regard to understanding gang stalking. It's happening amongst engineered light, it's happening amongst amplified audible activity, and it's happening amongst obsessive presence. And that presence, characterized as obsessive, is proven through the maintenance of that supernatural environment. They are seen as the stalkers rather than a bunch of strangers that are minding their business. They're not minding their business amongst impossible light activity. They're not minding their business amongst the government that's gang stalking in the ways in which I've shown: plane activity, helicopter activity, amplified audible activity, and doing so amongst impossible light activity and under a fake sun that remains over me from city to city. That specific environment is ongoing on June 3rd, 2025, where the entity is amplifying audible activity and maintaining impossible light activity around me, while the people of the state are a bunch of demons who are pacing. They're monitoring. And this is the same entity that committed a kidnapping, and upon release from that kidnapping is gang stalking from the hospital to the city of Ontario, where the entity is maintaining ongoing criminal monitoring to date. So this is the documentation of the people of the state engaging in that. These are, the state of California is engaged in multiple kidnappings. So this is going to be a prosecution of the government repeatedly seeking to engage in what is obstructing justice by kidnapping with malice exercising fictitious authority under the law, and necessarily doing so in concert with the people of the state, whom the government that is targeting relies on to engage in things such as criminal summoning while they are monitoring together. It is the demonstration of malice, not merely false charges or insufficient charges lacking evidence. They lack evidence because they're false, and the false charges are maliciously made while criminal surveillance is underway. And that's what's relevant about Tracy Banks being documented on May 29th, as you can hear the exchange and then you can witness it. You can see the video, but I also included the video on the podcast. All right, so this documentation of the license plates of the government, the city of Colton is gang stalking, the city of Fontana is gang stalking, the city of Ontario is gang stalking as I leave the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, and the pattern of conduct is underway just as it was inside of that facility for the entire course of that kidnapping, which the entity committed with the intent to obstruct justice, that is silence the evidence, in other words, silence me from documenting and from publishing it, silence me by trying to falsely label me as one who is mentally ill, which again, like I've already stated, has nothing to do with the evidence, because the evidence speaks for itself, regardless of what you want to call the targeted individual, which is unsupported by evidence, the evidence of a fake son, the evidence of stalking, literally from place to place in helicopters, which is documented, the evidence of the supernatural environment, such as amplification, the evidence of people who are engaging in behavior that is supernatural, such as driving by and light streaming, seemingly from vehicles, even inside of buildings. That's speaking to the pattern of conduct that has nothing to do with the targeted individual's mind state. You're documenting it on video so that everyone else can witness that. The demon-possessed engage in and rely on merely name calling. When the government is engaging in it, the government does it through the exercise of fictitious authority under the law, kidnapping you in order to fit you into some sort of category whereby they can hold you in a facility. That's kidnapping by the entity that is gang stalking. And by the way, that is unpersuasive and totally irrelevant, actually, with regard to the evidence that stands alone. It stands by itself. Okay, the evidence is not relying on my describing it to you. The evidence is not relying on my making sure that you have some sort of a secret understanding before you see. No, you can clearly see the sun sits over an apartment building for 11 hours. That is not the sun that's in Florida. That's impossible to coexist. That is not the sun that would be at the same address at the end of the day, but that's exactly what I'm documenting. And that has nothing to do with what the entity seeks to do, which is criminally defame the person that's taken that document, capturing that documentation, capturing that supernatural event. And it fails. But it's relevant because that's the entity that is engaged in targeting, that is engaged in surveillance, and knows about what it is that you are documenting about it while they are targeting you. That's not a coincidental method of targeting someone that has committed no crime and suffers no mental illness. That's directly relevant. So the entity is providing corroborating evidence, and it's also informing federal policy with regard to prosecuting, with regard to relieval from the medical field, from law enforcement, from the legal profession, from sectors and from areas in the public sector that pose a threat to the American public, where gang stalkers who are mentally ill based on their demon possession, as the gang stalking system is exposed, they pose a threat to the public. All right, and this is based on their tendency to engage in things such as kidnapping people when they are violating them in order to silence that person that they're violating. Okay, so this is what is prefacing the documentation of the people of the state, whose license plate I will include, as they are engaging in the elements of monitoring at the specific environment. And it includes while I am in the parking lot of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where commercial airline planes are hovering over the bus stop in the parking lot of the hospital, flying in close proximity, pacing back and forth, and also doing so amongst impossible light activity while the people of the state are driving in that parking lot. Impossible light activity underneath the bus, impossible light activity just streaming across the street, while the entity is maintaining amplified audible activity through the plane activity, through the criminal summoning of the city of the city of Colton, in the specific environment. The entity covering up the fake sun, and so the specific environment is always remaining, like I've also documented as well. So that's already established. But more than that, the specific environment is in the form of a cloudy day, a rainy day. It started pouring down raining. The moment that I was released from the facility, immediately rain begins dropping. That's speaking to the specific environment that is tailored to me as well. In so far as the fake sun showing that how it's tailored to me, the rain immediately falling as I am released outside of the hospital is also relevant to that. But nonetheless, the entity is on a dark, cloudy day, stalking with the under the guise of as supernatural as the sun remaining over me, as I've documented from morning until evening. The entity is gang stalking in the specific environment where the people of the state are pacing around, creating light activity amongst amplified audible activity under the guise of thunder that's amplified in volume, and it's coexisting with streams of light, like lines of light that are falling down, almost like rain from the sky, lines of light that are surrounding me, and that's supposed to be thunder that is cracking down on the sidewalk all around. That's light activity, and it's very demonic. And I just want to be clear with regard to your understanding regarding the weather. Oh, well, that sounds like a thunderstorm. That sounds like a rainy day and a thunderstorm. When you are given the evidence of the specific environment, showing you the fake sun, showing you the impossible light that shoots inside of buildings from the outside, ostensibly, that's actually, it's not light that's coming from the vehicles that are outside of the building as they drive by. It's light that has nothing even to do with the vehicles themselves that are driving under the fake sun that remains over me. It is supernatural. Light is being aimed toward me inside of buildings where the people that are simultaneously driving by repeatedly in the form of traffic. They're pacing while engineered light is being aimed all around me. That's two separate things. In the same way that the fake sun has nothing to do with light manifesting in the dark, in the shade, it has nothing to do with that. It's a supernatural occurrence. The fake sun documentation is showing the supernatural character of the environment as opposed to the natural weather circumstances. And this is what the entity is doing in the form of, from the sky, thunder, light, lines of light appearing, falling down, if you will, on the ground around me, which is light activity. And it's occurring while the people of the state are surrounding. OMNITRANS, Victor Valley bus, the people of the state, the personnel going from the parking lot, their vehicles into the hospital and vice versa, stalking in the parking lot, driving in and out of the parking lot, driving all around the parking lot. They're pacing and engineer light and maintaining light activity. This was monitoring at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center in the specific environment. Amplified audible activity also with regard to hovering planes over the bus stop at the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center in Colton, California, and also the impossible light activity while the people of the state maintain light activity. That's just using your vehicle, moving around. And while they are using their vehicles and moving around in that environment, impossible light activity doing things such as reaching underneath a bus that's parked at a bus stop with their hazard lights on, creating while they're waiting to engage in taking off for their next bus stop arrival. Impossible light activity appearing underneath the buses while the people of the state, ostensibly strangers, ostensibly minding their business, just driving in, looking for a parking spot, they're monitoring while impossible light appears underneath the bus in impossible manners. That's how you're identifying the gang stalkers. In the same way, under the fake sun, where impossible light is shooting around like it's an arcade. It's the same P.O.C. on June 3rd, 2025, under the guise of a cloudy, rainy day. All right, it is indeed P.O.C. And the following are the people of the state engaging in gang stalking from the city of Colton to the city of Ontario. License 8, Paul Samuel Roger 468, 8, Victor Frank Bobby 908, 8, Jacob Open Mary 802, 7, Apple Paul 937, 8, Roger Igloo Charlie 597, 5, Uncle Nancy Tom 781, 6, Kangaroo 31257, 5, Kangaroo Nancy Apple 199, or that could be 5R. No, I believe that's 5K. Yeah, 5, Kangaroo Nancy Apple 199, 6, Xavier Mary Charlie 961, 5, Mary 5 Samuel Roger, and that's a Utah plate, 8, Thomas David Frank 691, 9, Nancy Larry Xavier 897, 9, Bobby Samuel Uncle 961, Jacob Uncle 587, that's a handicap plate, 7, Nancy Henry Zebra 400, 5, Frank Paul Walter 715, 7, David Victor Jacob 730, 5, Jacob Zebra Thomas 856, 8, Nancy 7425, 7, Yolanda 1, Yolanda 673, 8, Roger 0, Samuel 230, 1, Larry Victor 4, Family Apple Mary, 9, Apple Family or Frank 024, again 9, Apple Frank 024, 9, Samuel Frank Uncle 634, License California exempt, documented in Colton, California at approximately 2:55 p.m. 1541499. This is an unmarked vehicle, all black SUV with the California exempt plates, demonstrating law enforcement presence at the city of Colton, engaging in the pattern of conduct, gang stalking, documented them by license plate. License 8 Henry Roger Henry 600, and Victor Valley Transit license number 1474110. This is Route 15, bus number 1504. And from 3:23 to 3:37 p.m. OMNITRANS loitering in relevant position. And you're understanding the superseding documentation of the pattern of conduct as opposed to corrupt businesses that are engaging in what is profiting from domestic terrorism. And so this is being at the bus stop. This is creating light activity. This is called being in relevant position while the government is monitoring an American citizen, and you are simultaneously running a bus line, engaging in the elements of monitoring and making money, profiting while doing so, and facilitating gang stalking. In doing so, OMNITRANS is from 3:23, 3:37, engaging in this at the bus stop at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. License plate 1656561. This is Route 22, bus number 1309. License 943 Xavier Nancy. This is a handicap plate. License 5 Zebra Edward Victor 930. License 8 Zebra Yolanda Apple 531. License 9 Jacob Paul George 578. License 8 Nancy Henry Thomas 757. License 9 Bobby Samuel Thomas 441. License 8 KLT 525. This is San Bernardino County in the parking lot at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where the entity was engaged in nothing other than incessant pacing amongst impossible light activity, while amplified plane activity and amplified audible activity remains underway, including criminal summoning, which I'm documenting in that parking lot. And these are, while I'm documenting that, I'm writing down all these license plates, and so now I'm reading all these license plates. San Bernardino County is engaged in what is light activity and stalking in the path with light activity on the vehicle in the parking lot of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where the entity is simultaneously engaged in gang stalking under the malicious guise of securing the parking lot area. It's in the specific environment, and they are gang stalking. Colton Police Department, license 1454638, or substantially similar. I did see that license plate from a distance at approximately 3:28 p.m. Colton PD is gang stalking, which is also evident because the entity in Colton at the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center during the course of a kidnapping is repeatedly amplifying helicopter activity after moments of my engaging in documentation, after moments of my engaging in reporting the facility for its series of violations during the detention, where it's exercising authority that it does not have under the Welfare and Institutions Code. And no gang stalker has authority under the Welfare and Institutions Code. Okay. But you certainly don't have it to engage in what is refraining from making disclosures under the law that are required, from engaging in what is such as contact information for who you can call when you're subject to a detention, and information pertaining to the detention. This is what the facility failed to engage in, and they maliciously and intentionally did that while they are targeting myself, who they know is somebody that's trained in the law, knows my rights, and will scrutinize those details that they are relying on. But moreover, doing so while they're engaging in what is gang stalking me for purposes of kidnapping. So you're withholding as much information as possible. And as I reported, the entity engages in a pattern of stalking with amplified helicopter activity, and it's stalking because impossible light remains inside of that hospital, like I documented. So Colton PD is engaged in gang stalking in the parking lot of Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. And again, that license plate 1454638 are substantially similar, but the police department in general is documented engaging in that P.O.C. License ASHMATT, Ash Matt. Ashley Samuel Henry Mary Ashley Thomas. And license, this is actually American Medical Response, AMR ambulance, is gang stalking, as I'm documenting. License ASHMATT, crossing path with AMR. And this is upon departure from the Fontana Metrolink train station at or around 4:53 p.m. in the city of Fontana. Fontana Police Department at 4:58 p.m. crossing path, gang stalking while I'm aboard third party OMNITRANS that's engaging in the P.O.C, which is also evident in video documentation where I am documenting the fake sun that's in alignment with me when I'm in Fontana at San Bernardino Avenue and Juniper, where the sun is never going to be over me anywhere in Los Angeles at the same time of year, nor would it be over Woodside Senior Apartments seen directly over the top of my head over that apartment building where it's remaining for the duration of the day when I don't go anywhere, which is not the operation of a natural environment. It's the identification of the specific environment where criminal targeting by the government is underway. And this is revealing what Fontana PD is doing when I'm on OMNITRANS on June 3rd at 4:58 p.m. crossing path with the people of the state, which includes license 30840, a handicap license plate, license 83019X3, license 6 Wendy Bobby Larry 074, license 8 Samuel Bobby Kangaroo 395. This is documented at San Bernardino Avenue and Elm, and the address is 18533 South San Bernardino Avenue. Again, the people of the state, third party facilitating venue, 18533 South San Bernardino Avenue. And this is license plate 8 Samuel Bobby Kangaroo 395, stalking in the path while I'm aboard OMNITRANS, maintaining light activity and relevant positioning in concert with all the people of the state. I just so happen to get this license plate and the address where this third party is gang stalking with the entity. License 9 Paul Bobby Apple 166. Oh, and by the way, that's at approximately 5:05 p.m. And 9 Paul Bobby Apple 166 is at approximately 5:08 p.m., where I am being pursued from the city of Fontana to the city of Ontario. In the city of Ontario, where the entity is following Sabah Towing, that's Sabah spelled S-A-B-A-H, Sabah Towing, that is engaging what is the malicious and criminal misuse of a business in order to facilitate criminal monitoring, federal group stalking and monitoring by the state, by the government, which is unlawful. And it is Sabah Towing, California license 045097, and the vehicle license plate is 24880 Xavier 3. They're engaging in the P.O.C while the fake sun is remaining over me while I am at Mountain Avenue and Holt Boulevard, walking east on Holt Boulevard, and the fake sun is no longer covered up. And it is shining on my back, remaining over me as I walk toward Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard. And this is a third party in that specific environment that follows me from place to place, identifying stalking by an entity and using light activity in the middle of the street, and also maliciously using the business, the towing services itself, to engage in that pattern of conduct. Sabah Towing, again, license plate 24880X3, and a criminal misuse of a license to engage in business of towing, California number 045097. License 18620 Xavier 2. License 6 Thomas Bobby Edward 408. And Ontario Police Department, also gang stalking. I documented on this day, June 3rd, 2025, the fake sun outside of the window of the Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard. Upon my arrival to the Starbucks where the fake sun is over me, the entity is maintaining the amplified plane activity, which is occurring over that Starbucks in Ontario at 706 West Holt, the intersection of San Antonio and Holt Boulevard, maintaining the specific environment, identifying state surveillance. And on this day as well, what you're listening to is helicopter activity as I exit that Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard, simultaneous with what is exposing federal stalking. Helicopter activity, the outward demonstration of mental illness by the gang stalking police, who commenced to flying in a circle at the specific environment, Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard, as I am publishing simultaneously on my communication device on the internet the kidnapping in totality that occurred on May 29, 2025. And this is, again, when I'm in operation of my device, when I am publishing incriminating conduct, the entity that is gang stalking in planes and helicopters is engaging in targeting at that Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard. This is the entity that is engaging in that targeting conduct, as you can hear in the background. It's amplified in volume while the people of the state are pacing around, while I'm documenting the people of the state that are gang stalking in the same way that you're listening to. This is exactly what the people of the state are engaging in from city to city. The city of Colton to the city of Fontana to the city of Ontario that committed the kidnapping, which is the state of California. Okay, this is all juxtaposed with what the city of Los Angeles is engaging in, where the entity is keeping a fake sunrise until sunset, where LAPD is gang stalking using the hallmark, targeting with helicopter activity, and doing so in in a manner that is juxtaposed with the same pattern of conduct as the state of California in San Bernardino County is in that specific environment. And this is embodied in what is everything that's happening, on June 3rd, 2025. This is the people of the state acting directly and vicariously, gang stalking from the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center to what is the state Starbucks located at 706 West Holt Boulevard. And this is where the entity is maintaining that pattern of conduct into the evening, which I also document. This is P.O.C. pertaining to the kidnapping on May 29, 2025 that continued until June 3rd, 2025, ending at approximately 2:39 p.m. upon my release from a kidnapping, where the government has no authority under the law. The government is continuously exercising fictitious authority while it is monitoring, keeping me under surveillance, and targeting with the intent to obstruct justice regarding my evidence that sits on the record, and it remains untouched with regard to these criminal tactics to criminally defame and kidnap. In addition, this is relevant to documenting the people of the state who are identified by license plate in different cities, and the same P.O.C. remains underway, and it is for the prosecution of that entity. This is P.O.C. All right, the people of the state that you see in images at 7:43 a.m. This is a Latino male in operation of a communication device that's pursuant to federal stalking under Title 18. And it's also relevant with regard to the elements of monitoring. So leaving the phone on is a means of audible activity creation, and maintaining presence. This is stalking while the state is hovering in planes over the senior center, and it's 7:44 a.m. So this has been the case. I'm documenting the city of Ontario using the dumpster trucks, maintaining activity. The entity is maintaining hovering plane activity over the senior center, over the this is where the city hall is, where Paul Leon is gang stalking, where the entity is maintaining that specific environment by hovering and with amplified plane activity where the senior citizen complex is located. So the people of the state sit around you, and also in operation of communication devices, maintaining the elements of monitoring and relevant positioning. All right, so that's the significance of that. This is the same thing I'm documenting at the bus stop at the B&G Plaza, where the entity is maintaining amplified train activity while the people of the state are maintaining presence. As you walk by them, train activity sounds. As you walk by, the entity maintaining methods of light activity, the demons pacing in traffic. You know how the system is operating when you are looking at Starbucks while I'm sitting inside of the venue, and it's giving context. That's not traffic. Those are demons who are gang stalking. They're pacing while impossible light is occurring on the inside of that Starbucks. So you're understanding the significance of that P.O.C. When the entity is engaging in the pattern of kind of gang stalking by helicopters, you're not forgetting about the impossible light activity that's shooting inside of a building when they're outside of the building driving in the street, north and south, which has nothing to do with sunlight bouncing off of your car as you're driving by, and it's moving across, it sweeps across the outside of the building, and it also shoots inside of the building. Those are the people of the state that are gang stalking, maintaining presence all around you, and that passive aggressive method of targeting, which is very psychopathic. And it's also malicious. The entity is gang stalking as I'm walking about, sitting around at the bus stop, sitting on the benches outside. They are gang stalking. They're stalking while the government is maintaining methods of activity around me. And it is through amplified plane activity, like I'm documenting last night, amplified helicopter activity, and the amplified train activity with regard to the stalkers who physically surround. This is the system of gang stalking. So it's 7:46 a.m. That's the significance of the people of the state whose images I capture while they are stalking in the path. P.O.C. License DJ2267R as in Robert, 8JUA585. P.O.C. It's 7:50 a.m. This is at the B&G Plaza. All right, license 8DZB999. It's 7:59 a.m. at B&G Plaza. All right, license Route 61, bus number 2347, license plate 1545817. Monitoring while I am aboard. The entity amplifying plane activity while on that bus as well, maintaining what is crossing a path. maintaining amplified audible activity while the people of the state are monitoring in traffic, like you witnessed at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where they are pacing and not merely minding their business and being strangers disconnected from me, targeting while impossible light activity shoots inside of Starbucks. Is not something that's happening in a vacuum. It's pursuant to the P.O.C. And that's what's ongoing on OMNITRANS when amplified plane activity, ongoing incessant relevant positioning while aerial surveillance by the Ontario International Airport remains underway. The entity is doing so while I'm on that bus and going from what is the B&G Plaza to, I'm at Vineyard and HOLT. This is documentation of gang stalking. This is the entity following from place to place. Maintaining the elements of monitoring is the evidence of the entity that is stalking. It's not an individual stalking, it's an entity stalking. It is currently 8:10 a.m. P.O.C. License 9KML677, 9PPW928, 9KHS, I believe that's 271. Yeah, 9KTB732, 9F76757, that's AKM Express Incorporated, US.2261575. At the intersection of Vineyard and Holt Boulevard, I've documented the fake sun over this venue also at both the beginning and the end of the day. Recall the documentation in August of 2019, August of 2021, when I'm released from kidnapping by the Ontario Police Department, waging false allegations while they're gang stalking and I'm documenting, and being at the Motel 6, which is on Vineyard. And the entity has the fake sun at 5 o'clock in the evening outside of my hotel room on this same street, and also documenting the fake sun in the morning at this same street, at this same location. And then you'll recall the entity keeping the fake sun from sunrise till sunset over Woodside. Then you'll recall the entity keeping the fake sun from sunrise until sunset over me in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens. And you're understanding how the demon license 8DTX636 is engaging in a statewide pattern of conduct, stalking as an entity. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:11 a.m. BWR A67 Colorado 29024B4 Comet Electric. This is activity and light activity in the path facilitation under the guise of maintaining construction. This is how the entity is engaging gang stalking amongst the public. All right, which is a facilitating venue. Maintaining a facilitating venue. Wearing hard hats, maintaining the specific environment. License 47085K2, that's Comet Electric. They are gang stalking and using a business and a criminal means to facilitate gang stalking by the state. License 37579V3, Comet Electric. License 33705E1, Comet Electric. They are, you'll see in the images, it's 8:14 a.m. They are in the path on the street using the drill. It's audible activity. The people of the state are pacing. The same demons that pace and impossible light shoots inside of Starbucks. That's the entity that is gang stalking, pacing amongst light activity, while the entity is stalking with commercial planes, amplified in volume, following anywhere and everywhere that I go in the city of Ontario, perpetually taking off everywhere in Ontario where I'm at, and which is amplified audible activity and relevant positioning. And a Comet Electric is maintaining flashing light activity in the path. All right, it's the elements of monitoring. It's P.O.C. It's 8:15 a.m. All right, the images captured are showing the people of the state inside of the venue and also the state, because the county building are full of government employees. So this is the state targeting inside of a state facilitating venue, which is already on the record as well, identified under the fake sun that remains over me at this San Bernardino County Transitional Assistance Office, where they're simultaneously engaged in gang stalking. And it is documented with regard to not only impossible light inside of the venue, because sunlight does not shoot upward across the ceiling when you open and close doors, and also remain planted on the floors. That's the P.O.C. of stalking with light, also dynamic light, and the fake sun that is outside, which is distinct from the engineer light inside of the venue. This is where the entity is amplifying plane activity inside of the venue, and you're going to see images of the people of the state stalking in the path. They are all monitoring together. I get the people of the state that come in close proximity as one person being targeted by the entity, and documenting those that engage in the elements as I encounter them. This is again San Bernardino County gang stalking, which is exactly what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, by the way, was engaging in gang stalking. It is one entity together. It's 8:47 a.m. The county office amplifying train activity and plane activity as the people of the state are simultaneously pacing inside of the venue, getting up from chairs and walking in a line into the bathroom is crossing path one after another. It's demonic pacing. The address here is 1627 East Holt Boulevard, and Allied Universal is engaging in the pattern of conduct inside of the venue. That's the people of the state acting
Now
with the state.
serving Q7F.
That's audible activity in the venue.
Desk.
This is P.O.C.
Two.
It's 8:48 a.m. San Bernardino County is monitoring inside of the venue while providing government services at the same time. This is public corruption. P.O.C. All right, bathroom monitoring is underway by Allied Universal and the people of the state inside of the state facilitating venue. Remember, Comet Electrical is gang stalking, relevant position, creating light activity. The entity is gang stalking using commercial planes. The entity is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, who make that abundantly clear, acting in concert with the entity that is together monitoring while the elements of monitoring remain underway in the bathroom. So understand the entity is maintaining audible activity with simultaneity to genitalia being exposed, engagement in private activity in that space, and pursuant to that sexually perverted means and that predatory purpose, engaging in activity creation while your genitalia is exposed and while you're engaging in that private activity, including your genitalia. So that's what the San Bernardino Transitional Assistant Office is engaging in. Everybody working in the office right now, it's 9:23 a.m., are participating in that sexually perverted pattern of conduct, which is inexplicable with regard to nothing other than the purpose of a sex offender, gang stalking, getting gratified by creating amplified audible activity inside of the bathroom with simultaneity to my legs being spread apart, and engaged in what is a private activity involving my genitalia. That's flat out black and white sex offender conduct, and that's what the demon possessed are doing at the San Bernardino Transitional Office. The images of the people of the state, the images of the state employees that I'm speaking to, that are here conducting interviews, that are here meeting with the people of the state, they're here amongst amplified audible activity, they're psychopaths pacing around while they walk inside. That demonic synchronicity of amplified audible activity of a demon stomping above on the second floor, amplified audible activity of a state actor making some sort of noise in the office, the amplified audible activity of planes sounding from outside of the office while they're pacing all around. These are the demons gang stalking and engaging in doing so, documenting this is bathroom monitoring, the perpetual sex offense. It's 9:24 a.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, what you are looking at, first of all, is inside of the TAD office. It's referred to as crossing path, meaning when they walk by, when you drive by, when we fly by, it's all crossing path, pursuant to group stalking. And at 9:33 a.m., you're looking at Allied Universal crossing path, and what they are doing is letting a third-party male into the men's restroom. This is relevant to what I documented regarding bathroom monitoring. There's nobody physically in the bathroom with regard to the amplified sound of something reminiscent of a toilet flushing, which is heard at the same time that my legs are spread apart and my genitalia is exposed and I'm engaged in private activity, including my genitalia. That's the moment that the entity sounds the sound of the toilet through the walls. This is the method that Arrowhead Regional Medical Center used as well when my toilet was flushing in the room and I wasn't even using it with the means to monitor. You don't actually have to engage in the activity for it to be created. This is demonic, and the entity is with simultaneity with the intent to sexually traumatize, sexually violate, are engaging in what is the creation of amplified noise of any method in the bathroom. The demons presuppose that the sound of amplified toilets is appropriate because of that venue. Oh, of course you're going to hear toilets through the wall because you're in the bathroom. It's amplification, okay, first of all. Second of all, it's relevant that Allied Universal is letting someone in the bathroom, which is locked. He maintains the key to let people in and out, which is what he had to do to let me in. And there is nobody that's in the bathroom while he is unlocking it for the male that is currently in that space right now. I'm documenting that in the images with regard to the amplified sound of toilet activity in the bathroom when nobody is in that bathroom. The entity is engaging what is maintaining amplified audible activity, and it does not require the actual use of the toilet anywhere in the building to have that impossible audible activity. Walking in the apartment building at Woodside Senior Apartments does not cause the ceilings and the walls to crack. Flying a helicopter in the sky space, obviously incriminating. That's obviously incriminating, but even so, it does not cause the apartment building to experience an earthquake. That's demonic. It's called sensational activity. It's identifying targeting. That's how you're being understanding targeting. Targeting is identified in the environment that's entirely supernatural, i.e. demonic, where demons are stalking someone. And that stalking system is identified in that environment that is supernatural, maintained perpetually. This is what they're doing in the bathroom, Allied Universal, the San Bernardino TAD office, and maintain. I also want to be clear, targeting with regard to very specific, whatever it is that I do. As I document, the demons engage in more of it. As my legs are spread apart, in conformity to my documentation about the demons being obsessed with my vagina, when my vagina is in an exposed state in the bathroom, at that moment, when that is the case, that's when amplified audible activity is occurring inside of the bathroom, speaking to that very obsession that I already documented. It is the P.O.C. It is with regard to the entity that are obsessed with regard to that pattern of conduct and also engaging in that predatory conduct in that manner at that time. Okay? It is 9:36 a.m. P.O.C.
All right, license plate 8UTS 178, 9JVT 293, 8BMZ 586, 8MVE 861, 7JAB 731. These are the sex offenders monitoring my vagina, parked at the San Bernardino TAD office. 9FKN 514 is a particularly anxious demon that wants to be documented as a sex offender, African American female with dreads, or it could be a male wearing a skirt with dreads. It is driving by, crossing path, monitoring me while I'm documenting. 9RPS 778 07241K3. P.O.C. It's currently 9:42 a.m. I've documented this entire venue before, gone through, documented all of the state actors' license plates. It's already on the record. This is the same P.O.C. on another day, but I wanted to step outside and get the documentation of those sex offenders that are in the parking lot gang stalking. It's 9:42 a.m. And 8NXN592. P.O.C. I took a picture of the venue from the outside. I've documented this venue already before, but I did take a picture today. You are not going to hear plane. The entity is engaged in amplification of everything. So you see the planes in the sky space, and you're supposed to correlate. Oh, you hear planes because you see the plane. It's demonic. The demons don't want you to understand that they are surrounding you with an environment that's entirely demonic, and that's also incriminating while I'm documenting stalking by commercial planes everywhere that I go. Okay, it's currently 9:44 a.m. P.O.C. This is supposedly taking off from the airport. Just to be clear, so the airport is down yonder in this direction. OMNITRANS is monitoring. And to be even more clear, that's the fake sun over me at the San Bernardino TAD office, which is nowhere near the Woodside Senior Apartments. It's not near Los Angeles Alvarado Gardens, and it's also not near Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. But nonetheless, this is where the airport is. You're taking off from the airport. This is what I've been stating. The entity is deviating by going all the way in that direction where Woodside Senior Apartments is to be hovering over G Street and Woodside Senior Apartments, targeting. License 1404974, OMNITRANS is gang stalking while the entity uses a simultaneous means of a plane while the same amplification is underway. It's the same amplification. It's P.O.C. There is no Ontario International Airport where you are taking off from the airport and still perpetually hovering throughout the city to be then taking off, rising in elevation like they are from the airport over Woodside Senior Apartments. That's the lack of logic. The demons are engaging what is stalking with amplified noise, which is not having anything to do with the plane itself. In the same way that the fake sun has nothing to do with impossible light activity just manifesting inside of the Starbucks where there is no shade, or excuse me, where there's nothing but shade in the interior of the building. In the same way that driving does not cause light to shoot off of your vehicle into a building, the amplification of audible activity of the use of planes where they're stalking in the path, coexisting with that amplified audible activity. And the Ontario International Airport is in this direction. It is on the opposite side of the street. This is HOLT in Airport Road. The terminals, the airport are in that direction, and they're gang stalking. The airport is engaged in gang stalking, and they are gang stalking using planes to engage in that P.O.C. right now. Okay, this is currently 10:47 a.m. I'm at Tracy Banks' front door at Woodside. This is pacing. This is recognizing monitoring. This is all recognizing monitoring. Demons that know that they're being documented, sounding their horn is activity creation. The fake sun reflecting off of their windshields when it's over Woodside Senior Apartments is an impossibility. It's P.O.C. It's also impossible that it's over Alvarado Gardens like I'm documenting where LAPD is gang stalking. The Ontario International Airport is filled with demons that fly commercial planes engaging in domestic terrorism. That's P.O.C. Alright, this is the fake sun on the same bus route, Route 61, headed toward Holt. Well, I'm on Holt Boulevard. This is Holt and Grove at 11:17 a.m. on Route 61, which takes the identical route both to and from Fontana. So this is Bondview and Holt Boulevard, and you see the fake sun turn as I turn. If you'll recall, I got this same exact location at 5 p.m. when I'm on Route 61 on June 3rd, 2025, taking the same route at what is Route 61 at 5 p.m. and the fake sun is remaining in alignment to me on the bus, identifying targeting as I'm subject to it amongst the entity on a means of public transportation. And the people of the state are engaging in that pattern of conduct together, recognizing that specific environment. It's also notable that at this time the sun is not over Woodside Senior Apartments like I documented at the same time, and it's also not capable of being over Alvarado Gardens at this same time of year, where LAPD is targeting, identifying the specific environment and the hallmark of terrorism using helicopters to stalk and gang stalk. The entity is maintaining this light source, street for street, turn for turn. As I get on the Route 61, going toward what is westbound, which is what I was on June 3rd, 2025, where the fake sun is remaining over me on the same bus route. This is again requiring that the sun is perpetually maintaining presence over one bus route, regardless of direction and regardless of what time. At the end of the day, after 5 p.m. and this is the morning 11, that's the pattern of conduct while in motion, and the pattern of conduct while sitting at the Starbucks all day long. This is P.O.C. It is again 11:23 a.m. and I'll show you how the fake sun just moves as I move, remaining in alignment with the bus, where I'm on the bus recognizing stalking. This is what the Ontario Police Department are doing, gang stalking all night while I'm at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, which the people of the state share in that pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. Alright, as you see OMNITRANS depart, the fake sun does not remain over OMNITRANS in the way that I would be able to capture while I'm on that bus, and it's turning on streets and coming toward Ontario, engaging in the same conduct as you recognize the spin. This is where the fake sun is remaining over me. This is Metro 102 Apartments. That's understanding the significance, what is called crossing path, recognizing stalking that's underway as an entity. And it's government action. The government's keeping me under surveillance, and so are the people of the state. And they're all demons. This fake sun is an indicator of demonic activity. This fake sun is not remaining over OMNITRANS. It's not the natural environment. It's the specific environment on OMNITRANS, the bus that I just got off of. And I'm capturing the same circumstance regarding the fake sun visible through the windows of an OMNITRANS bus on the exact same route that it was on June 3rd, 2025, when I'm at 5 p.m. on Route 61 from Fontana. That's impossible to be the case. The entity is always suggesting what is absolutely absurd, but it makes for what is a clear-cut prosecution for recognizing the satanic targeting system where the entity is engaged in what is stalking as an entity. That's gang stalking, and it's demonic. And you see it when the entity is engaged in gang stalking using helicopters like the Ontario Police are on video this morning, 12 o'clock in the morning at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, 11 o'clock in the morning, at night at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where the fake moon was over me, right over here on the opposite side of the same street, and the demons know that they're being spoken of. They very foolishly engage in the pattern of conduct on video. That's Ontario Police. Highly delusional and very psychopathic demon-possessed gang stalkers who are to be removed from law enforcement as I expose their criminal engagement. And by the way, it's 11 11:27 a.m. At 11:31 a.m., this is not over 507 North Euclid Avenue. It's right here where I'm at Lemon and Holt this is Metro 102 apartments, and the entity is engaging in what it's targeting as it's identified through the specific environment. This fake sun is not only remaining over me, which is identifying targeting, it's hovering over the roof of the apartment building and moving as I move, identifying stalking by police officers who also use a very heavily documented tactic, stalking me with helicopters. This is P.O.C. 8 VSX 606 is gang stalking with the people of the state. Sounding train activity is amplified under the fake sun. Sounding plane activity is amplified under the fake sun. You see them taking off from the supposed airport at the San Bernardino TAD office, but yet they're still perpetually present, hovering in the sky space, now at Euclid Avenue and Holt. It's the same analysis when they're hovering over the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where Delta Airlines is not taking off and rising in elevation. Delta Airlines is stalking, and so is every other gang stalker airlines from the Ontario International Airport. You're not going to hear plane activity. The entity is engaging in under the fake sun, amplified audible activity, which is demonic. Ontario Fire Department's in relevant position, and a demon is driving by under the fake sun, stalking me while doing that in that specific environment. License 9CGS 934. It's currently 11:29 a.m. 8FMR 814. License 8MSP 207. Impossible light moves across Metro 102 apartments while that African-American male driving that vehicle on the opposite side of the street crosses path. And if you are ignorant about what I'm referring to, look at the light activity inside of Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue on June 4, 2025 to refer to the impossible light activity happening at approximately 4:27 p.m. 9FVX 007. This is P.O.C. Helicopter activity is amplified right now. 8XGK220 is pacing around, monitoring with the police who are relying on their demonic pacing around me under the fake sun. That's Ontario PD. Just published online multiple videos of gang stalking by the Ontario police. It's not a coincidence that they're engaging in that. This is called crossing path. When you see light manifesting in the shade out of nowhere, you're recognizing stalking while they hold the hands of children with the gang stalking police department. This is the same library I arrived at today, never going to Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the creepers, the sex offenders obsessed with my vagina, monitoring the evidence against them, are still stalking, which is an unlawful threat by the government who has no authority under the Constitution to keep me under surveillance in the first place. And here's the fake sun, which is at 6 p.m. and it's not over 507 North Euclid Avenue Starbucks. It's not over Woodside Senior Apartments at 408 West G Street. It is nowhere in Los Angeles outside of my bedroom window after I get off of work, capturing video on a daily basis of the fake sun that is there for the duration of my workday, and then remaining in alignment to my bedroom window as I get off of work and go upstairs to 1806 North Alvarado Street. That's where the Ontario police are gang stalking. The audible activity of helicopter, while the people of the state are demons. This is indicating pacing. This is not traffic, it's not pedestrians, it's not strangers just minding their business, they're stalking. This is the same building where it was Metro 102 over here when at 10:45 a.m. where the fake sun is over the same apartment building. That's steps away. This is the same location, it's the same library. And by the way, I documented the sunrise at this library already. This is clear gang stalking by demons who are obsessed. They are obsessed with my vagina. They are obsessed with gang stalking. All right, this is P.O.C. Ongoing state surveillance at State Facilitating Video Ontario, Ovid Family Community Library. And this is demonic while they drive in it. This is how you're engaging in surveillance. They're all engaged in monitoring on communication devices. They're all engaged in monitoring when I'm in a bathroom. They're all engaged in monitoring the documentation. This is P.O.C. This is the significance of sounding helicopter activity while a bunch of demons pace around in supernatural light, just manifesting out of nowhere. Oh, I suppose it's from Woodside Senior Apartments reflecting off of the window at the library, 215 EC Street, to create this light at a distance so that it molests my person. That's prosecution for the sex offense. These are all demons monitoring together. It's state action. P.O.C. It is 6:02 p.m. Amplified plane activity. That's Alaska Airlines. Right after Ontario PD flies over in the fake sun, 7MWM282. Right after the Ontario police are on video
which I just documented. It's 6:03 p.m. This is aerial surveillance, and the planes are not taking off from the airport like you saw this morning at 10:45 a.m. is at the San Bernardino Human Services Department. When I'm arriving at the bus stop, getting off of the bus, after I'm capturing the fake sun moving while I'm on the bus, you are looking at the entity taking off from the airport. The entity is taking off in an Alaska Airlines. They take international flights. That does not include flying over 280 North Limit Apartments, but you're aware of the fact that they're stalking in planes with the label Alaska Airlines while the fake sun is over me at the same library where I arrived this morning. And this is moments after Ontario PD took their role pacing over as well in the same specific environment. 7RAX445, a domestic terrorist, a sex offender, stalking with impossible light in front of their vehicle. And so is the next demon, 9RMN861, in a silver Tesla. Driving at the turn circle is a way for pacing. They're driving in the light that's manifesting in the shade, and so is Allied Universal, license 9LVR315. This is the obsession of the demon-possessed who are stalking me. They are indeed obsessed with my vagina. They're violent sex offenders obsessed with me, obsessed with stalking me. Using things like helicopters, entire police departments, and commercial airline planes, devoted an international airport devoted to stalking me in planes. That's a lot of money, it's a lot of manpower, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of attention, and it's because they're demons. 6ELX924. EBZ 2R80. Remember what Ontario Police is doing at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts when this same population is pacing on Euclid Avenue, just like I dictated last night and early this morning, 10, 11, 12 a.m., where the people of the state are gang stalking with the Ontario Police, the City of Ontario. EB72R80 is a Latina female in operation for communication device, diligently monitoring me while she drives by in the shade with engineer light. She has a paper plate on her vehicle. She's under the fake sun, acting with impunity and malice. If she's not a natural born citizen, those are the types that you deport out of the country. This is P.O.C. It's 6:05 p.m. 8DSG505 with impossible light activity dragging across the wall as they drive by, and they're driving in light that's manifesting in the shade. They're also driving under the fake sun that's moving as I move, now moving away from the Ovid Family Community Library, where the sun is not remaining over the roof of 507 North Euclid Avenue, the Starbucks, where the fake sun is remaining from 11:31 a.m. until 6:41 p.m. And that's also not coexisting or occurring at the same time. In other words, while the fake sun is rising and setting at Woodside Senior Apartments over specifically units 49 through 64. This is recognizing state surveillance of a demonic nature, 9TEV327, and the secret obsession of the demon-possessed who are monitoring, stalking together is fully exposed therein. License 7TJT545, and the entity is engaging in what is monitoring. The Ontario Police and the Ontario International Airport engage in stalking via amplified plane activity and helicopter activity, while the helicopter and the plane fly on both sides of my person while I'm standing in the shade at the parking lot after exiting Ovid Family Community Library, where the fake sunrise is already documented as well. The entities engaging in this P.O.C. Doing so pursuant to my standing idle in the shade, license 9JTZ892, impossible light dragging behind the vehicle while the sound of the engine is audible noise, while they are seamlessly, conveniently monitoring as a population, and demons engaging in that. But nonetheless, the entity is inspired at the moment because I was standing idle in the shade, not moving, not creating any activity. And so as I stand there moving, thinking about what I'm going to do now, that's when the entity begins amplifying helicopter activity. And after I capture that video, I immediately go into podcast. This is when Alaska Airlines is hovering over a senior citizen complex, not coming from the any airport terminal 2, terminal 4. You even witnessed the entity taking off where the airport is located off of Holt Boulevard, nearest Terminal Road. But I want to be clear, they're even deviating to be at that location. The entity is literally engaging in stalking, creeping conduct in planes. License 5TGW565, and where you see them taking off from the from Holt Boulevard this morning, where I was at the TAD office where they were gang stalking, that's nowhere near Woodside Senior Apartments. That's nowhere near what is 507 North Euclid Avenue, meaning you have to engage in a grand departure from flying west from the airport at Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 to be anywhere over G Street and, G Street and Vine, but also over C Street and Euclid, where I'm showing you Delta Airlines is flying over the Unicare, over the intersection where the fake sun is over me. All right, 5ULJ741, 9HET888,
with a minor child engaging in domestic terrorism, sexual violence, psychological torture. License 5FUV286, 5HZY059. All right, P.O.C. I took also pictures. You will see a big blob of impossible light just planted on the side of this wall right here where these demons are patrolling. License 5HZY059 is engaging in that same P.O.C. These are demons that engage in that ability to have engineer light just flying across, like into Starbucks, across sidewalks. These are demons who are very psychopathic, demonstrating mental illness while I document them stalking with light as well. It's the outward demonstration of mental illness in the same way that the demon possessed, they demonstrate mental illness when they fly in circles all around me, following me around in helicopters, and then they engage in pacing in helicopters. They're demonstrating their mental illness, which is no longer closeted. All right, it's the same thing with stalking with light and stalking in helicopters, pacing all around me. These are psychopaths, maniacal, very deranged and dangerous. It is currently 6:09 p.m. This is upon departure, exit of Oviatt Family Community Library, where the city of Ontario is obsessively stalking me from place to place. And this is the same entity that committed a kidnapping. This is the entity that Tracy Banks criminally summoned into her apartment to manufacture a basis to arrest under Welfare and Institutions Code, making up information in order to kidnap with this gang stalking police department. And she's going to a mental asylum for it. And the Ontario police are going to federal prison for it. It's 6:10 p.m. Here's Ontario police crossing path, stalking with the people of the state. They're stalking as well. There's the fake sun. Moving as I move at 6:11 p.m. The entity's stalking with the fake sun while I'm inside a Starbucks, and it's over 507 North Euclid Avenue. When they're monitoring my vagina, when they're monitoring the as I'm documenting the impossible light inside a Starbucks, and the Ontario police engaging with a stalking by helicopter, flying in a circle. The fake sun is not over Starbucks, which is south of this location on the same street where the demons, the people of the state, drive by and impossible light shoots inside of the building. And these are the demons that engage in ongoing terrorism, as I document it video after video, because of their engagement in what is surveilling the evidence against them, and it's exposing their mental illness. 9SFV456, 8NWN436, 8VGP389, 8KEE839, 7GBV436, or excuse me, 346. They're engaging in crossing a path. They're not driving in sunlight. They're driving under the fake sun monitoring. They're stalking as a whole population. These are the mentally ill, the demon-possessed psychopaths who are targeting American citizens, conspiring murder and kidnapping, just like the kidnapping that the entity that's gang stalking committed together. It wasn't just Tracy Banks and the demons of the Ontario police who were inside of that apartment. It's a gang stalking system. And they are all going to be prosecuted for what is another kidnapping that's pursuant to the P.O.C. It is 6:12 p.m. The Ontario police following from place to place. That's P.O.C. All right, you are witnessing the mental illness as the demons are literally acting and demonstrating, not the first time, how berserk they are with regard to listening to me and witnessing me publish evidence about their fully exposed mental illness that's shared with the people of the state. The demons that demonstrate their mental illness while impossible light shoots around like in a circus, like in an arcade. They're demonstrating the fact that they are very psychotic, that they're obsessed, that they are into stalking strangers, which the demon-possessed do in order to inflict harm and psychologically harm American citizens, and then like to engage in what is kidnapping, like Tracy Banks and this same gang stalking police department did with regard to criminal defamation. So while I document that and I outline that, the demons who are not going anywhere cross path again. Now you'll see in the video, they're flying in the direction. They're flying east. In this next video that I just captured right now, they're flying west. They're pacing. And the fake sun is moving as I move. It's no longer over the parking garage, and it's certainly not over Starbucks like I just documented yesterday, June 5th, 2025. And it's certainly not over Starbucks where it remained, like I documented on June 4th, 2025. Like I stated, it is not over the apartment building of Woodside Senior Apartments, where the sun would be if it was the natural environment, contrary to this low hovering light source that sits over one building for 11 hours. That's the context regarding the psychopaths who are flying in helicopters, flying around, and are triggered while they listen to me document, and they provide more evidence as I get another video of them stalking, clearly stalking in that specific environment as it is clearly and obviously recognized, and the demon-possessed who have also exposed their mental illness and their engagement in gang stalking via things such as presence under the fake sun and impossible light activity that doesn't even have anything to do with the fake sun. They're stalking with light, like delusional and mentally deranged psychopaths engage in who are stalking one person together. This is the P.O.C, the maniacal P.O.C, 9 SEC 977, sharing in this criminal conduct together and engaging in what is an act of retaliation. No, and it wasn't last night either when I documented all those videos that are published on the video of the internet for the world to witness the exposure of domestic terrorism in the United States. Not different from third world countries, by the way. The United States is not civilized whatsoever. These are a bunch of animals, rabies-infected dogs stalking me and engaging in what is obsession with my vagina, and then they're triggered and hostile because I publish the details about their sexual violence and their stalking patterns regarding me, which I didn't consent to. And it's not a compliment. So the entity is subject to federal prison, just like I stated. The gang stalking police were on video on May 29, 2025. B. Hook, L. Martinez, C. Torres was not on video. He arrived where Tracy engaged in what is manufacturing allegations about violence, and that's enough to get an arrest in order to seize my person criminally when they're gangs. It's still the gang stalking system. But that was the second kidnapping attempt. So that's why she added on that detail in addition to criminal defamation. To allege criminal conduct that I didn't engage in is also criminal defamation. But she is using, criminal defamation. She takes medication, which I do not and never have. She's mentally ill, which I am not and never have been. And neither does my documenting this gang stalking conduct, which is clear and obvious when you have the context and you understand the P.O.C. It's very plain and obvious. You just were not paying attention. Now you see it. You can see that light flying behind you, flying into buildings when the demons like 8B TJ 572 drive by. That has nothing to do with any mental illness that I suffer. But the demon possessed, they're mentally ill, and their mental illness is more and more prevalent and obvious while they're triggered because I keep publishing the evidence about them. The ones that are obsessed with my vagina, males and females, engaging in sexual violence and stalking as a group together while they call themselves the people, the American people. The American people are a bunch of demon-possessed barbarians. And this is criminal conduct that a whole state is practicing. And frankly, it's embarrassing. And that's why they engage in what is providing evidence against a whole police department, against individualized officers of the Ontario Police who are going to prison for the gang stalking that the Ontario Police Department is practicing, and doing so with knowledge that it's being documented because of the criminal surveillance that they are in fact engaging in with the people of the state, which is a matter of public corruption. Fully supported with evidence. Stalking me from place to place. As I go to Starbucks, as I go to the museum, as I go to the library, the entity is stalking. Stalking. This is P.O.C. License plate 9RKY898. And that's relevant with regard to the videos that you'll see in the podcast. Alaska Airlines is crossing path, hovering over a senior citizen complex under the fake sun amongst engineer light that's flying all about. And the Ontario Police Department pacing. In the first video, upon my exit, under the fake sun, which is already a supernatural. You already know the context. The fake sun, you can look up my documentation on YouTube and on my website. This is the POC.wordpress.com. The fake sun is rising. 7 o'clock in the morning. It's at Ovid Family Community Library over me. Clearly stalking as a whole population. And the demons are not only hostile, they're triggered while they hear the truth spoken about them. You are a sex offender when you're monitoring my vagina. That's exactly what they're doing. Stalking and stalking with amplified noise when I'm in a bathroom. What is even the purpose of that? Other than the fact that you are a deranged, sexually perverted, predatory psychopath, a demon-possessed entity, and a corrupt public entity. So to engage in what is stalking in helicopter in yet another video is to provide evidence against all the gang stalking police officers whose name I've specifically identified, and badge numbers I've specifically identified, and who I have on video, so that the world can not only witness and hear me talk about them, you can see their faces, the ones who are going to prison. Because that's what the Ontario Police is accomplishing, putting their own demonic, demon-possessed colleagues in prison. Because that's exactly what every single last one of them were engaging in. They were gang stalking while acting like legitimate police officers. There is no acting with regard to criminal surveillance. You're going to prison. You're going to prison, and I documented the evidence necessary to put you exactly where you belong. You belong in cages, stalking an American citizen in a helicopter. You can fly in the opposite direction while you're crossing path all you want. You can fly in circles south of my location under the fake sun. The entity is aware of the documentation showing how the demon-possessed are stalking, and it's relevant. It's identified in the environment that is entirely supernatural, and everything about their behavior is supernatural as well. All you have to do is pay attention, and I've provided a body of evidence where that is clear. It's not a mystery where you're looking at it and you still don't get it. Oh, you see that fake sun sitting over one building for 10 hours? That's where you're seeing stalking. And psychopaths engage in more of it when they're triggered, when they hear the truth spoken about them. But they're the ones that are stalking me, using thousands of dollars to use a whole airplane to stalk me. They're the ones using the resources of a police department to stalk me. Yeah, you belong in a mental asylum. You belong in federal prison. 7JHR934. This is an entity that's stalking together under a fake sun that's not over 507 North Euclid Avenue, where Raquel was gang stalking with these same demons on Euclid Avenue, because sunlight is never under the fake sun, in the engineer light, and in the shade. Never is sunlight reaching into through windows, moving all about the walls and on the leather seats, but they provided more evidence of that as I documented. In fact, Raquel engaged in more of it as I documented, like the psychopaths who are triggered and engage in more and more gang stalking using helicopters. It's the satanic pattern of conduct. It's the mindset of the psychopaths who are demon possessed, who are listening to every word that I utter about them while they are keeping me under surveillance. This is P.O.C. That's P.O.C. So those two videos, again, if you're aware, I combine my videos with the podcast, so you have a consistent stream of chronology regarding what happened next and what happened next, and that's exactly what I'll be doing. You go from video to podcast, because I typically give commentary about what just happened on video, and that's exactly what the demons did. Fly in one direction in helicopter, the plane flies in the opposite direction in commercial plane, the helicopter flies in the same direction as the plane, again, listening to my comments and then engaging in that. And this is what they were doing all night long at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, stalking me. Okay, it's currently 6:20 p.m. And this, again, documentation exposing this investigation of domestic terrorism underway in the United States that I single-handedly had to conduct because the government itself is the criminal, because the civilians themselves are the liars and the sex offenders, the predators who are acting with that corrupt government. This is the evidence that's supporting it. And it's not only supporting it, it's a wealth of evidence. Not just, in other words, I don't have just a little bit of evidence. I have a whole body of evidence to prove every allegation, to prove everything that I state is supported with hard facts. And the demons are triggered by that as well. To provide me more evidence is exposing your mental illness. They are, in fact, psychopaths that cannot control themselves and who are obsessed with me and my vagina in particular. 7NIF692, stalk with impossible light activity. 9AVR885, same thing. That's a molestation with impossible light, like they do when I'm sitting inside a Starbucks. License RMENON. License 9JKT696. These are sex offenders, these are terrorists, and those that are not natural born citizens are going to be subject to deportation. License 6KFL721, 7JPC748, 9FHW506. P.O.C. It's 6:21 p.m. And again, this trigger, this is initiated because I'm standing in the shade, and my standing in the shade, remember the entity is always wanting to molest me because they're sex offenders as well, molest me with engineer light. So my standing in the shade immediately results in amplified helicopter activity to maintain activity with the people. And that's exactly what I get on video upon my departure of the Ovid Family Community Library. P.O.C. It is currently 6:44 p.m. June 6, days after this video you see here at the top. The people that state are crossing path, they're stalking. And I'm going to show you the fake sun that's over me. It's not over the Starbucks where you see above. Yeah, there's no car accidents when you're stalking under a fake sun, by the way. The people that state are crossing path while they're monitoring. My bad.
Their obsession with my vagina on the venue of the internet. They prove it by stalking under the fake sun with helicopter. These are the same demons you see crossing path on Euclid, which is never going to result in light moving across the building or light shooting off their vehicles into this building in here. The demons are stalking together and threatening together. Psychopaths just stared their communication devices and they were monitoring my vagina. And they're threatening while the Ontario Police Department used a helicopter to engage in gang stalking. This is P.O.C. This is exactly what they did at Starbucks at 8 p.m. Ontario PD is gang stalking at Chevron again. They're driving in engineer light, not sunlight. Okay? They're walking in engineer light, not sunlight. That's the Ontario Police. They're violent sex offenders exhibiting severe mental illness while they are gang stalking and monitoring my vagina without my consent, my consent. And not only that, they're doing it under the fake sun that's still over the same Starbucks. Let me show you how they're not only demons and stalkers, but they're sex offenders. This is the same fake sun. This is the same address. This is my shout. This is the immediacy. It's not over Woodside Senior Apartments, first of all. And those demons engage in what is gang stalking in vehicle and in helicopter, hostile to what is the documentation of the sex offenders engaging in surveillance on behalf of the police, who are gang stalking while they're monitoring together. They're the ones that showed you the evidence of their demon possession.
All right, I just want to be clear again.
That they're gang stalking.
This is the light source. Hold on 1 second. That is remaining over the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. And I'm doing a screen recording because I am, again, going to the library today. That's the building where I was at, where not LAPD, but the same entity, Ontario PD, is gang stalking under a fake sun. And where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. You see them taking off from Holt Boulevard. This is the entity deviating where I'm at, where the fake sun is at. I want to be clear, Holt Boulevard is right here. So they were taking off from the airport while the fake sun was over my head at 10:45 in the morning. That's recognizing stalking by the Ontario International Airport. Alan D. WAPNER's demon possession and criminal engagement for the public corruption of federal group stalking and monitoring, and also the gang stalkers who are the Ontario Police, gang stalking at 6:41 p.m. I want to be clear right now. This is B Street, where the fake sun is in alignment with me at Herradura de Oro. Starbucks is down that direction, and not only do you know that this is not mere movement of the sun that's just going to move as you move, because the sun doesn't do that, by the way, but you know that it's targeting because on this day at the top, on June 4th, the entity kept the fake sun over Starbucks. And so when I don't go to Starbucks, I go to the San Bernardino TAD office, and then I go to the Ovid Family Community Library, riding public transportation and doing so. The sun is never over Starbucks to be over me on Holt Boulevard at the San Bernardino TAD office at 1627 East Holt. Moreover, it's over me while I am walking along this same sidewalk to get to this library on the opposite side of the town square, where it's still over me while I'm looking at the same property where I was on this morning during the 11 a.m. hour. This is the same presence of the light source. And it's not over Starbucks, where Ontario PD is gang
And then
stalking.
I put it on the venue of the internet so that the world will know, and I will prosecute the city of Ontario. And then the entity is hostile and engaged in what is more domestic terrorism. That's exhibiting mental illness as well. These are the psychopaths monitoring in this bathroom.
That's exactly what the entity is doing today. Right now, while I'm sitting at Herradura, fake sun is over my head at the Herradura, which is distinct from being over 507 North Euclid Avenue, where on June 4th and June 5th, the entity kept the fake sun from 11 a.m. until after 6 p.m. That's what this video is at the top at 6:41 p.m. I started this video at around the same time, 6:45 p.m., and this is where the entity is keeping the fake sun. This is where the demons are monitoring. They're stalking. And you also know that because when they drive by inside of the Starbucks where I was at, which is south, impossible light shooting inside while they are crossing path at the same time while a fake sun remains over me inside of the Starbucks, which is not where Herradura de Oro is. It's not where Woodside Senior Apartments is. It's never the product of light activity. That's a demon stalking with light activity. License plate 7YPZ498. And the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking with the people of the state, just like the Ontario Police Department, who you see in this video gang stalked me upon my exit of this Ovid Family Community Library that's right here, where I've already documented the sunrise. The Ontario Police gang stalking under that fake sunrise at that venue as well. This is P.O.C. These are demons, they're stalkers, and they're monitoring my vagina as well. The violent sex offenders who are the people of the state. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 7:15 p.m. and the images that are uploaded to the Google Drive show the Ontario International Airport hovering over the building that I'm sitting in front of, where I captured a video of the fake sun not over the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, which would dictate what the natural environment would include, especially while it sat there since 11:30 in the morning. Which I documented on video on June 4th, 2025. It's there on video at 11:45 in the morning. I took images of it over my head at the front door at 11:31 in the morning on June 5th. I'm capturing video at 6:41 p.m. while I'm at the same address, Starbucks. I'm at Herradura, which is on the same street. It's north of Starbucks. And the understanding that the fake sun is not only over the Starbucks at the same time, but it remained over that Starbucks since the 11 a.m. hour. And also in 2021, at the same time of year as well,
The fake sun is remaining while I'm at that Starbucks at the 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. hour. Video documentation that I've referenced for your convenience to click on regarding related content when you're viewing my documentation on YouTube. The entity is gang stalking, engaging in federal stalking. The Ontario International Airport, like it is on video during the screen recording that I captured starting at approximately 6:45 p.m., which is juxtaposed with the 6:41 p.m. video of the Ontario Police gang stalking, just like the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking, which is the city of Ontario, gang stalking in concert with the people of the state, readily identified by a sun, which is not the natural environment, i.e. a fake sun, which is the identifying factor, the proof of stalking as a gang of demons. And the entity is under this fake sun, stalking with planes at approximately 7:14. I'm getting these images, and I'm taking a screenshot because with simultaneity to my, I'm uploading video to YouTube, and I'm currently signing in to one of my accounts. And as I begin to do this plane activity, which understand the pattern of conduct, in order to have that sort of demonic synchronicity at the same time I do something on my device, while the demons, which you already know are stalking, are engaging in what is something that's supposed to just appear to be happening, having nothing to do with you. But contrary to what you actually know is going on, this is how you're understanding also the demons are very obsessively stalking. You must have already been there stalking, lurking in a plane to cross path with simultaneity to my engaging in what is a new, different change in operation on my device. This is revealing their mental illness, everything that the demon possessed do, including why they stalk you with impossible light, including why they stalk you as a whole entity under a whole fake sun. It's showing how everybody is crazy. They're all crazy. Okay, and this crazy is a national security concern. And the crazy is filling the Ontario Police Department, who have been engaged in wide exposure of their mental illness and their sexual perverted appetite with regard to monitoring my vagina, with regard to stalking me and engaging in more stalking tactics the more that I document, which is the conduct of a psychopath, escalating and escalating and escalating the threat while they're stalking you. Typically, people that are stalking don't want it to be known that they're stalking. Now, the demon possessed, they don't want the documentation about them stalking published, but they want to stalk. They're obsessed with stalking me. They're not just obsessed with me, they're obsessed with stalking me. And they are also hostile as I expose that. The entity is engaging in federal stalking while flying over, not from the airport. And I'm capturing images of a low hovering plane that is necessarily targeting, which you also know because the fake sun is here, while it's competing with my voice. That's Alan D. Wapner's exposed demon possession. He is a demon that is indeed a Jewish man. He's not he's not a God-fearing man. He's a demon-possessed person who's obsessed with my vagina. And that is directly known because of the airplanes that are engaging in stalking me. That's what you know about Mike Lorenz based on the helicopters of the Ontario Police Department stalking me. That's what you know about the people of the state who are stalking in the same exact manner, clearly targeting and not engaging in anything mysterious, ambiguous, or disconnected from me, while they're all in impossible light under a whole fake sun, which shows that they're all stalking. And the fact that they're obsessed with stalking me to the degree that they use airplanes to do it, with regard to every minor thing I do. The planes aren't flying over the museum from where I'm seated. The planes are getting as close to me as possible. Okay, Alan D. Wapner's obsession with me is that which needs to be a matter of public information and a matter of a federal prosecution. Okay, this is somebody that is not only corrupt, but this is somebody that is disqualified based on his exposed mental illness, his corruption, his disqualification for maintaining this corrupt conduct with regard to a whole airport. Every airline is engaged in gang stalking at the Ontario International Airport. All right, and the entity is doing so in real time as I document another plane, which is providing obvious evidence. There's no alternative, there's no counter argument for where the demons are flying planes and what they're doing as they engage in that, and what they do while I document it in real time, which is a demonstration of mental illness by the demons who are obsessed with my vagina, stalking obsessively. Okay, this is what I'm taking screenshots of. You'll see my screenshot of what is the YouTube channel where I'm uploading the video, and then you will see the screenshot that has the above portion with the Ontario International Airport using a commercial airline plane to fly over me. And they're doing so amongst engineered light. This engineered light that's covering the upper portion of the buildings and the palm trees, that's not sunlight. And the sun that is over this same exact street as I arrived from the San Bernardino transitional office today, it's over the same exact street. I'm at the same street. This is the asininity and the ability to expose sex offenders, the ability to expose stalkers, the ability to expose psychopaths. Very crazy people, okay? And they're flying planes and helicopters at that, and they're doing so in real time. 7:20 p.m. amplified helicopter, and while I'm documenting this podcast right now at 7:21 p.m., you can hear the amplified plane, which was so loud, meaning it's so close that it's competing with my voice, not taking off already from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4, where you would not hear it. And it certainly wouldn't be hovering over the head. I do it at De Oro, where I'm at right now, which is also not over the Starbucks where the fake sun was at, like I documented at 6:41 p.m. All right, where the Ontario police are clearly stalking me specifically, like they are today when I'm walking out of the Ovid Family Community Library under a fake sun that is also documented rising during the 7 a.m., 8 a.m. hour at this same Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, obviously stalking me and using helicopters to do so. That is the conspiracy to murder and kidnap an American citizen, where the police are stalking an American citizen. Gang stalking, to be specific. It's currently 7:22 p.m. This is documentation of federal stalking, which the people of the state are engaging in as well. And it includes the following license plates. License 9AWG837, engaging in the pattern of conduct at 6:54 p.m. License 27235V2. License A as in Apple 81GW. This is an Arizona plate with a demon-possessed veteran. License 8MHF199 86309B3. License 9MFA973. This is P.O.C. It's currently 7:23 p.m. Okay, the terrorists, the Ontario police at 9:20 p.m., they're crossing path. They're stalking me as I'm walking off of Euclid Avenue and turning onto, this would be Laurel and C Street, I believe. Let me get the street. They are gang stalking, so the sound of the helicopter activity is accomplishing monitoring, and the people of the state are the demons that are sitting around, driving around, talking, yelling, screaming, dancing, pushing strollers and engineered light, sitting around stalking with light. They're demonic psychopaths, gang stalking with the terrorists that are stalking on in a helicopter as I turn the block, walking on at Gloria's Cochina's third-party facilitating venue, Gloria's Cochina's, where I'm documenting the fake sun. This is D Street, D as in dog. So as I turn to walk down D Street, the demons at Gloria's Cochina's are stalking in the parking lot with light. They're gang stalking with the Ontario police, who are sounding helicopter activity, monitoring with the people of the state who are aiding in light activity. This is what they're doing under the fake sun when they're all driving in engineered light. Okay, this is P.O.C. and the demons of the Ontario police are openly stalking me when I'm going from place to place. And you can look at the video on YouTube, the videos on YouTube as I exit the library after publishing all the video of them stalking last night. And the moment that I am exiting, the demons are stalking of the Ontario police in helicopter, again, under the fake sun. That's not over Woodside Senior Apartments. That's not over Los Angeles, where LAPD would assert that they're not demons and that they're not targeting, but they don't have any evidence to support that. And the supernatural, that is the demonic nature of the pattern of conduct, is what is going to be the surefire prosecution of the domestic terrorists. And Ontario police are stalking me when I'm walking down D Street based on obsession with me and hostility toward me because I am calling them out as the demons that they are. Those are psychopaths. And I'm gonna let you know right now, Ontario Police Department, they've gotten away with murdering people. They've gotten away with kidnapping people. They've gotten away with, and aided the people of the state in committing crimes against other people, because that's how psychotic they are in stalking me. And this is that level of maniacal conduct is speaking to their being accustomed to getting away with or relying on some sort of position. There is no position in my view. Being in a position of practicing law, knowing the law, is more powerful than being a high school graduate that only needs to know how to do backflips to get past the academy. And any sociopath can do that to be a police officer. Clearly, they are lacking in many areas when they're totally engaged in what is gang stalking as a police department.
So again, these demons are delusional, and just because there is a belief that you are superior, that doesn't make it a reality. And the fact that they're gang stalking me is also proof of that. The entity is gang stalked with amplified audible activity. Glorias Cochinas, who's already documented for gang stalking me under the fake sun. While your establishment is a relevant position, I will prosecute you. This is the people of the state gang stalking. And under the fake sun, everybody's being prosecuted. It's currently 9:23 p.m. Ontario police are following me in helicopter, just like they did, by the way, on October 2nd, 2019, after this police department that's stalking me right now in helicopter, and stalking me last night in helicopter, and stalking at 12 o'clock in the morning in helicopter. They stole my vehicle pursuant to what is the ability to engage in corruption while hiding behind the identity of a badge. And then they stalked me from the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, where you saw the fake sun today, at 6 p.m. And I documented in about 14 videos following me every street that I turned down, every corner, following with a helicopter. And that's what the entity is doing by gang stalking in concert with the people of the state, demons that are lurking on side streets, aiming headlights in order to molest with impossible light activity. Like this demon with this license plate I'm going to read right now. This is a sex offender. And this is, again, a basis of federal prison. Ontario police gang stalking with sex offenders. Nobody's in traffic. Nobody's stopping this person from proceeding. They're sitting in the middle of the street, aiming light. And the Ontario police are in the background with helicopter, driving a white pickup truck. This is license plate 536. That looks like a Latino male, 53428 Victor 1, driving a white Chevy truck with a female in the passenger seat. He's wearing a black cap or dark cap, stalking openly with the police at Laurel and E Street at 9:24 p.m. This is why the people of the state are going to federal prison. That's exactly why. All right, it's currently, by the way, when the people of the state engage in stealing your property and doing so with the gang stalking police officers, these high school graduates who have nothing other than a large ego, okay, but they are debased. They're a bunch of degenerates who do not require any education in order to get in that position. So you're just accustomed to abusing it. That's the entity that's going to be prosecuted for federal group stalking and monitoring, following me around in a helicopter right now. And the people of the state are stalkers, molesting with light while I'm walking down the street, aiming light in the path. Sex offenders, stalkers, creepers. It's P.O.C. It's currently 9:25 p.m. All right, here's clear evidence of following me around in a helicopter. All right, I was at the intersection down there when they are flying, crossing path and doing so, and demons like this sitting in the middle of the street, as I just documented on podcast, sitting in the middle of the street, no traffic is stopping them, stalking me with light in the path. They're also stalking with light while they proceed forward, while the house light turns on, and that's a demon that's flying in circles and following me around as I'm walking down the streets. Now, this is, again, openly providing evidence against the entity. This is an entity that's convinced that they're going to get away with murder. That's why they're doing it on video. And this is an entity that's convinced that they're going to get away with kidnapping. This is why Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. This is why Tracy Banks is getting locked up as well, the people of the state. This is why the demons that were inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, their names are L. Martinez, their names are B. Hook, their names include C. Torres, and you have what is Nathan Morgan. They're going to federal prison. That was a bold iteration of the P.O.C. to kidnap me pursuant to malicious assertions. They are stalking somebody that never committed any violence against Tracy Banks. They've been stalking me, and I've been documenting it, and that's why they made up those charges. And those officers, they're not actual law enforcement, and I'm treating them like the demons, like the criminals that they are, and they're going to federal prison. But as surely as you see this very damning evidence that's going to be used against every single last one of them in their federal cases. And this is a fool. This is a fool right here. It's a demon, you know, but this is a fool. I'm going to prosecute every single last one of those kidnappers with this video documentation, because this is the criminal system that they're engaged in when they intentionally and maliciously made those allegations, and they're following me from place to place, from the library to now when I'm walking from that location to this is a specific location where I'm at, and the pattern of flying in circles as well. They're demonstrating their mental illness not only by stalking in a helicopter, but pacing in engineered light. This is one shadow. This is two shadows. That's not created from what is ordinary light fixtures. That's pacing. This is what the people of the state are doing. The Ontario Police Department, like I stated, Mike Lorenz's mental illness needs to be public information, and it is. As you see, the Ontario Police very heavily documented exhibiting severe mental illness, and the people of the state are gang stalking with the police. The gang stalking police, these high school graduates that don't need any integrity to jump over a monkey bar to get past the academy. Any sociopath, any murderous, bloodthirsty psychopath getting past the academy to gang stalk with the ordinarily, look at these shadows right here. That's a stalker with the police. License plate 6JQU584. Old as dirt, gang stalking with the police. And engineer light, and it's the same engineer light under the fake sun. That's what you see inside of Starbucks. That's engineer light as well while it's occurring in that specific environment. Stalking with light to help the police monitor while they're following me. And the entity engaged in stealing my vehicle on October 2nd, 2019. And you'll see in 13 videos when I'm going from the Ovid Family Community Library to 714 North Vine Avenue, and the Ontario Police is following me in all 14 of those videos. Follow me as I'm walking from one destination to another, and they're persisting in helicopter. That's clearly stalking. It's both traditional stalking and it's gang stalking. And they've been stalking me as a matter of record since 2018. It's currently 9:30 p.m. when you're seeing impossible light activity, you're hearing amplified helicopter activity, and you're literally watching psychopaths exhibit their mental illness that's no longer closeted, and also the fact that the entire Ontario Police Department is stalking me. And they are stalking because they are very sore that they lost some sort of satanic bet that they were going to be able to sacrifice me. But those demons that they've been summoning, those demons that they've teamed up with, they're going to devour the Ontario Police Department, and I'm going to prosecute them. This is crossing path impossible light activity. License 7MUV281. That's impunity. The people of the state are gang stalking, and they're inside of Laurelwood Apartments gang stalking. They're inside of their homes in relevant position gang stalking. That's why you're prosecuting Woodside Senior Apartments, where the Ontario Police routinely gang stalking me in that apartment where the fake sun would rise and set, which is also recognizing the specific environment where you have upright shadows instead of just shadows on the ground that surround you, upright shadows that are standing upright on the wall, as I document that, while the Ontario Police are stalking as a matter of recognizing that environment that is supernatural. Because when you're standing under light, your shadow appears on the ground, not in 3 different places around you either. That's a third shadow right here. That's 1, 2, 3. That's not the product of standing under light. Not only do you have multiple shadows, but they're varying levels of concentration. That's demonic, while the people of the state are openly stalking by crossing path. They're doing so on Euclid Avenue, crossing path as well. They're in the drive-thru of Starbucks. They're gang stalking me while they're ordering drinks and preparing drinks inside of that Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where I documented the fake sun at 11 in the morning. I documented the fake sun at 8:27 in the morning. I documented the fake sun at 6:41 in the evening, where the people of the state are gang stalking. That's impossible light activity. Demon. License 9PSJ362, and the Ontario Police Department is engaged in incentivizing public corruption, sexual perversion, criminal conduct such as stalking, which is psychopathic, while the demonic pattern of conduct. These are raging psychopaths who are concealing, hiding, inhibiting that appetite for violence against people for no reason. That's what the demon-possessed are engaging in their stalking helicopters. It's the Ontario PD. It's currently 9:32 p.m. while the Ontario Police follow me from place to place, and the demons are following from place to place. It's an entity. They're maintaining presence. They're maintaining activity around me. Stalking. The entity that's driving, under no circumstances is light going to shoot off of your vehicle and create any sort of light, for example, inside of Starbucks. At nightfall, they're doing the same thing, stalking with light. On behalf of the Ontario Police, this is the Ontario Police gang stalking vicariously through the people. That's why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. P.O.C. It's currently 9:32 p.m. where those fools provide evidence against themselves. P.O.C. That's Ontario International Airport. There's a fake moon stalking. Stalking now, flying over G Street. That's called pacing. That's called light activity. Demons stalking in the path, getting in the path with light activity. And those are demons not taking off anywhere near the Ontario International Airport. Recognizing targeting. And engineer light using flashing light, very demonic. This is the 144 units of Woodside Senior Apartments who are all being prosecuted. And then they engaged in a kidnapping after I thoroughly completed their case to prosecute them for gang stalking by residents. And they're doing so with the Ontario International Airport. That's gang stalking at G Street and Palm. All right, where you see them rising in elevation from the airport location on Holt Boulevard this morning at 10:45 at G Street and Palm. Like I stated, that's a grand deviation from anywhere remotely close from taking off from the Ontario International Airport, Terminal 2 or Terminal 4. And that's just common sense when you're looking at the coexisting elements, light activity. And these are demons who are pacing in impossible light activity. It's the P.O.C. and it's very demonic. This is where the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking with the assistance of the demons who are the people of the state, the assistance of the demons under the corrupt leadership of Alan D. WAPNER, using commercial planes, which I'm going to prosecute severely for that. That's P.O.C. That's audible activity, demonic pacing, both vehicles, and engineered light at that. They're sex offenders obsessed with my vagina, P.O.C. It's currently, by the way, 9:38 p.m. Following from place to place, planes and helicopters in the specific environment. There's the fake moon over me. Not over Starbucks now upon my exit of that place. Not over the museum while I'm at the museum. Over there, off of Holt and Euclid, over me at G Street where the demons are stalking in planes and helicopters. Recognize the pattern of the environment that defies nature, while their behavior is also being seen for what it is. It defies nature. These are demons and they're stalking. And I'm going to have the demons removed from law enforcement. And I'm going to have them removed from working for airports and being able to fly airplanes. And I'm going to have the old people going to federal prison for gang stalking at an apartment complex. And then thinking that a kidnapping was going to obstruct justice. It's going to enhance it. P.O.C. All right, this is stalking. More stalking. Not flying over the Ontario Museum. Following where I'm at in a helicopter in engineered light, where the fake moon is located, not over the museum, but over me at G Street and Fern, the Ontario police stalking from place to place. And this is an absurdly ridiculous exhibition of stalking by police. That this is the closest you're ever going to get to an admission, and this is undeniable evidence. The mere frequency and the mere volume of video evidence of stalking, following me in helicopters and following me in an environment that is irreconcilable. The entity keeping the fake sun during the day and the fake moon at night over me, and the entity doing the same thing in Los Angeles amongst the gang stalkers of the LAPD. This is again Mike Lorenz's criminal conduct, and this is shared with Dominic Choi's criminal conduct and every other law enforcement agency that I documented gang stalking me with helicopters from Las Vegas to Kern County in that specific environment. And this is again flying around in circles, pacing around me everywhere that I go. Psychopaths are stalking in helicopters and pacing around everywhere that they are following me. This is a demonic ritual that they're engaging in. This pacing and engineer light. So let me show you the context regarding where they're doing. Under the fake moon, number one, the fake moon is where I'm at. This ongoing pattern of flying in circles around me, following me from place to place to do that. And they're doing it in engineer light. 1 shadow, 2 shadows, 3 shadows. That's called pacing. They're driving in engineered light. Just like under the fake sun, they're driving in engineered light. And they were stalking by helicopter under the fake sun. They're stalking in helicopter under the fake moon that's remaining over me. And this is my upright shadow on the wall. That's P.O.C. Now I've got 2 of them. And these are my shadows that are still on the ground while the police follow me around. Of conduct. This is gang stalking. It is currently, by the way, 9:55 p.m. This is the disbanding of the Ontario police that engaged in kidnapping on May 29, 2025. They did so pursuant to malicious assertions, not merely false, not merely ridiculous, not merely clearly illogical, while the lies that I documented on podcast and in video are incapable of being maintained as consistent amongst Nathan Morgan and Tracy Banks, probably both high school graduates. I know Tracy Banks is, but very highly unintelligent while they are monitoring inside of her apartment where the fake sun rises and sets, and where this same police department is documenting gang stalking me at that apartment complex where they engaged in what is kidnapping via criminal defamation in order to engage in an unlawful seizure when they're engaged in criminal surveillance. And the entity is using a spotlight, which is light activity, while they're pacing. The people of the state are engaging gang stalking with them. They're not looking at anything other than me. This is gang stalking. And the entity is pacing in the sky space. And this is a ridiculous and obvious engagement in that pattern of conduct. And you are witnessing the outward demonstration of mental illness by the demons of the Ontario police. This is P.O.C. The demons that sound sirens are engaging in what is criminal summoning. And this is the campaign of the demons who have lost in their satanic bet to sacrifice me. And now you're looking at them destroy themselves because their egos cannot accept reality. But everyone else is looking at the reality. You're looking at dozens and dozens of videos of a police department stalking. This is P.O.C. That's crossing path where I have multiple shadows. This is monitoring. Being under a light fixture does not create shadows on the ground, multiple shadows, and also shadows upright. They're monitoring, they're stalking, and so are the people of the state, just like they are when I'm at Starbucks and the Ontario police is doing the same thing, flying in circles while the fake sun is over me at that Starbucks where it remains for over 7 hours. That's not the sun, that's not the natural environment, and neither is this at nightfall. And the demons in the background sounding sirens are engaged in audible activity creation while the Ontario police provide a show. Let me translate this satanic language for you. They're engaging in what is activity while demons monitor, and they participate in the elements by sounding their sirens, which is audible activity, while the people of the state are pacing, they're monitoring together, and that's supposed to be some show of the demons engaging in some sort of communication. It's a communication of a threat while you analyze it. And you're also going to analyze with regard to the diagnosis of mental illness and the prosecution. This particular demon is subject to a mental asylum as opposed to mental federal prison. This is P.O.C. You're going to see the LAPD engaging in the same thing at Alvarado Gardens, a body of evidence of the entity engaging what is following me around in helicopters and engaging in this pattern of pacing around in circles around me in that environment that is supernatural because the sun doesn't set at the same place where it rises and the sun doesn't sit over one building for a series of hours not moving. Okay, like I document at Starbucks, like I document here at Woodside Senior Apartments, like I document at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts where they were stalking last night, where the entity is engaging in this. And this engagement in this pattern of conduct is not a show of any sort of force or any sort of authority or any show of what is resistance to what is an inevitable demise that Christ Jesus himself has said is going to be the inevitable fate of the demons of the Ontario police who have engaged in killing one too many people. They've engaged in kidnapping one too many people. And now they're going to suffer the consequences for terrorizing American citizens as I'm documenting their criminal engagement in P.O.C. and the malice, the impunity, the psychotic level of continuously engaging in it when it's clear-cut stalking based on the pattern that is fully established in that environment and that behavioral pattern which is entirely demented in that environment. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:59 p.m. The entity engaging in the P.O.C. upon exit of the Ovid Family Community Library, following me from that location to what is G Street and Fern, and engaging in what is their obsession. This is also showing you how you know they're obsessed with my vagina because they're monitoring my genitalia in the bathroom as well. This is how heavily the Ontario police is stalking, and they spend thousands of dollars doing it on a daily basis using helicopters, and the city of Ontario uses airplanes to do it. They're doing it in the specific environment where monitoring is underway. They're doing it with regard to showing the fact that they are indeed sex offenders, and they are, like I've established, they're stalking in helicopters. They're also obsessed with my vagina. They're sex offenders obsessively consumed with my vagina and obsessively consumed with how I describe them in the evidence that's going to be used to prosecute them. But they are seen very clearly as the sex offenders. They're seen very clearly as the psychopaths, mentally ill, pacing around like the delusional psychopaths that they are. Okay, there's no emergency amongst the people of the state. They're gang stalking together. This is P.O.C. This is 325 West G Street. The reason why they're not flying over unit number 51 is because I'm not inside of Tracy Banks' apartment anymore. B. Hook, Nathan Morgan, L. Martinez, and C. Torres, who signed the report that Arrowhead Regional Medical Center relied on to kidnap, they're all going to prison. They're all going to prison. This is P.O.C. Remember, it's happening in Engineer Light. They're driving in Engineer Light. They're monitoring. This is Engineer Light. Two shadows right here. They're stalking, and this is criminal monitoring, which is satanic. It's demonic. That's why they just engaged in that ritual on video with regard to the P.O.C. And my shadows are moving right now while demons are crossing path. That's also not their headlights. They're stalking together. And they just engaged in that satanic pacing, which is no show of authority. Satan is admitting that Satan is fearful, and Satan is admitting that he has lost. By stalking on video like this, that's a concession. And what is a criminal case? This isn't just some practice of witchcraft that they are fully exposed for engaging in. They're going to be prosecuted in the 3D, in real life. But I just want to be clear, this is Satan's mental illness being made manifest. That's a meat suit that's demon-possessed, flying that airplane, stalking me and doing so. This video is 7 minutes and 50 seconds long, and they were engaging in flying in circles in relevant position to me in the specific environment, and that's because Satan is very fearful, and Satan makes very poor decisions with regard to a legal strategy in a federal case, lacking self-control, and it's relevant to the criminal conduct that the Ontario Police has been engaged in for decades. Okay, this is P.O.C. Paul Leon's being removed from office, and Mike LORENZ being removed from position. Michael GERKEN, gang stalking fire department. The demon-possessed Alan D. WAPNER, gang stalking international airport, engaging in that P.O.C. Flying around in circles is the behavior of demons who have been thoroughly defeated. To continuously do so is the delusional psychopaths who have nothing other than a tremendous ego, but they don't even have any basis to have that ego. There's no force or authority or strength shown in stalking. That's P.O.C. All right, pay attention to 1627 West HOLT at the San Bernardino TAD office, where the airport is, where they were taken off by the airport. This is not taking off. This is stalking, coming into the sky space amongst amplified audible activity and impossible light activity. The Ontario International Airport, obsessed with my vagina. A demon flying a plane, stalking in the path under the fake moon amongst impossible light. And this is the city of Ontario. This is the government. This is the state of California. That's the P.O.C. And the demon-possessed are engaging in what is monitoring, obsessing over my vagina as a whole population. They're in their homes monitoring while the police are flying in circles and while the airport is pacing over, not taking off from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4. This isn't even close to taking off. You're not taking off over here. You're deviating, flying far away from the airport in order to then engage in what is rising in elevation because you're stalking. And that's why you have perpendicular shadows, while you cross paths with the police, while you cross path with the airport where they're stalking, creating amplified audible activity. Black, white, bald, long hair, blonde, auburn, whatever shade they are, they're gang stalking. All right, this is the specific environment, and this is what you're paying attention to. That supernatural character of that environment, where you're looking at what is never naturally occurring. It's impossible for this to naturally occur, where the demons are engaging in what is stalking, following me around from place to place, and they're doing so while they're hostile because I'm documenting and telling you that they're obsessed with my vagina. They're sex offenders flying around in circles for 10 minutes long because they're obsessively consumed with an ongoing, some sort of idea in their mind that there's some sort of competition. There's no competition with Satan. There's no competition when you're stalking. That's P.O.C. The Ontario Police Department has demonstrated, the City of Ontario has demonstrated that every level of government is corrupt and defiled, and they are to be cleaned out comprehensively while you're using a police department to engage in criminal surveillance. P.O.C. I just want you to see this the moment that I turn on my hotspot. That's called Title 18. Didn't go anywhere, stalking with the people. The moment that I turn on my hotspot, the helicopter sounds and flies over. This is what they were doing at the people of the states, the people of the state when I'm on F Street and they're flying over me in front of when I'm walking down the housing community, down the street where the housing community is gang stalking on F Street coming from Starbucks, where they were flying in a circle outside of Starbucks as I published the kidnapping on May 29th. That simultaneity of conduct is pursuant to surveillance, which you know is ongoing in an environment where impossible light activity is present, and simultaneity of conduct pursuant to what I'm doing on my devices and what I am physically doing while I'm being monitored. That's the Ontario Police who are stalking in helicopters. Doing so again as I turn on my hotspot where the people of the state are monitoring with the police department. Okay, that's 325 West G Street. That's 323 West G Street, 630 North Fern Avenue. The entities engaging in a pattern of conduct, the entire Woodside Senior Apartments complex, this entire city is engaged in monitoring. I just so happen to be around addresses right here. The people of the state are gang stalkers. That's why you have the fake sun remaining over wherever I'm at. That's why you have the impossible light activity while the demons are crossing path. All they're doing is pacing. Where you see this, that's pacing. They're stalking. They're pacing together, and that's psychopathic. That pacing conduct is psychopathic. So this is exposing that closeted mental illness, that concealed mental illness, and it's not concealed anymore, especially as I reveal their pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. It's 10:07 p.m. It's 10:29 p.m. and following the entity clearly and obviously stalking. So the Ontario Police, the police, this is not just the exposure of the Ontario Police Department. This is exposure of law enforcement in this country and in the state of California.
Do not forget that when you see the Ontario police openly stalking an American citizen who's been documenting that demented and sexually disturbing and sexually violent and criminal pattern of conduct, which is also demonic. They're doing so while they're flying in circles in helicopter in a video that's approximately it's like over 8 minutes long, and they're just flying in circles over and over and over and over and over and over. They're monitoring. They're monitoring my devices, they're monitoring me, and they're also engaging in what is a ritualistic show. The demons in the background started sounding their sirens. That's audible activity by the demons of the government while they're monitoring together, and a demon in a helicopter is outwardly demonstrating that they are maniacal psychopaths who are gang stalking somebody that's putting it all over the internet in order to prosecute and expose law enforcement, the true state of law enforcement in this country. Following, I want to be clear, not just following, but happening during that case, is impossible light activity while the demons are on G Street. They're pacing, and impossible light is flying over toward me while they're driving east and west on G Street, and their headlights do not spear off to the sides of the roads. Neither does sunlight veer off to the sides into buildings at that and swipe across buildings. They're doing exactly what they were doing at Starbucks on what is June 4th, 2025. They are literally the same exact demon-possessed entity. The people of the state that you see pacing in vehicles on G Street and on foot, they're stalking. You're looking at open stalking by a demon-possessed entity, all right? And it's also the public entity that's acting with the people of the state who are going to be prosecuted as the government that it's serving, that it's monitoring, that it's stalking with. And their possible light activity is moving toward me on the sidewalk while they are driving east and west in the street, okay? It is as impossible as light shooting through Starbucks, where Raquel is gang stalking me, and Raquel engages in more gang stalking because I documented Raquel by name. If you are not sure about what I'm talking about, you can refer to my documentation that I captured on June 5th, 2025, where Raquel is under the fake sun that's over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and it's not over the San Bernardino County TAD office like I documented at 10:45 a.m., like I documented upon my exit of that venue where the sun was not over Starbucks at 11:31 at 1:29 p.m. like it was yesterday afternoon. It remained over the Ovid Family Community Library at 215 East C Street, which is not the sun, where the entity is clearly shown to be the stalkers that they are, because the sun is not maintaining this equally zenith presence over every building and all of the city for the duration of the day. There's not a sun over Starbucks, the roof, and a sun over the Ovid Family Community Library. And the sun is not maintaining this ongoing perfect alignment with you everywhere that you're moving. The sun is literally moving while I'm on OMNITRANS, the same route that I was on June 3rd, 2025, after 5 p.m., taking the same exact route. And I'm on that route this morning during the 11 a.m. hour. And the fake sun on the same route going in the same direction is remaining over me in a manner that is entirely distinct from sitting over the roof of Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. And before I documented Starbucks again, because they're already on the record gang stalking, I'm documenting Woodside Senior Apartments, where the Ontario Police Department are already on the record gang stalking me day and night. Been documenting them gang stalking me at Woodside Senior Apartments and Tracy Banks' apartment since November of 2024. And before that, since 2018. But upon my return from Los Angeles, gathering that monstrosity of a case against the state, that the Los Angeles Police Department, the city of Los Angeles, the demons in Los Angeles engaging in this same exact pattern of conduct, which is entirely impossible. It's nothing other than the P.O.C. as I have established it and documented it pursuant to the investigation of the U.S. government that's criminally monitoring American citizens. That is what foolishly followed me from the Ovid Family Community Library all the way back over to G Street. And I got it in 4 videos actually encompassing the 2. I got it in 6 videos since 6 p.m. following me from place to place under the fake sun. And then you see the fake moon over me, where the entity is obsessively engaging in surveillance, and that light source is in the sky. The fake moon at night, the fake sun during the day. Ongoing psychotic pacing, flying in circles all around me like delusional psychopaths, like unstable creatures who are obsessed with following me around and using helicopters to do it. The entity is engaging in that, so I want to document that. The entity is doing so, and the entity is also engaged in monitoring with regard to my devices. My ability to publish the videos on the internet is what this ongoing psychotic. These demons are under some illusion that this is some sort of competition, like they're winnings. Satan is a loser. The reason why you know that is because Satan is stalking. If you were not a loser, then you would not be stalking me. Number one. But understand the mentally ill psyche. They tell themselves reality is another way. They tell themselves that there's some alternate theory, there's some alternate explanation regarding what's actually happening, and it's working in their favor. And they are the ones that are in some sort of competition. This is, and I'm referencing the spiritual warfare here. These are demons who are stalking. They are inherently inferior. That's why it doesn't matter how many numbers of them there are. This is not a numbers game. In addition, that's why they engage in such sick and very weird and creepy conduct. They are the demon possessed who are walking around spiritually dead, stalking as a whole population. They're not even actually families that are consumed with each other. Their families are stalking me together. Everything that they're doing is based on me. Everything that they do is based on what it is that I'm doing and what I say, even what I say about them. That's entirely pathetic. Entirely pathetic. That is a concession in your own life, in your own existence, in your mind where they cannot face reality. You're a loser, and you're a spiritually dead loser. The entity is engaging in what is lost, however, that's going to result. This is not just trying to come against the child of God. This is not just a bunch of demons that thought that they could spiritually attack someone into a grave and spiritually attack someone into a mental asylum and steal my intellectual property in doing so. This is what this psychopath, Jason Isaac Fields, is obsessed with the notion of, thinking that I'm going to be kept to survive and live in a bubble where no one is ever going to learn about the fact that I was targeted by the state, and all of the intellectual property that I've been pumping out, this demon is going to maintain possession of it, profit from it, keep it, and represent it as his own, while I am sitting around suffering somewhere in a mental asylum or dead. That's what these demons plotted. None of that is going to happen. None of it's going to happen. And only mentally ill, delusional, telling yourself it's X, Y, and Z when it's A, B, C. It's not X, Y, and Z. And you would have known it was A, B, and C from the outset because I told you it's A, B, and C. There is no other alternative. Kidnapping, that's not creating an alternative. That's creating exacerbating circumstances for yourself. That's circumstances where you're going to mental asylums for gang stalking in helicopters and openly demonstrating to professionals who do not serve the satanic system that you are very mentally disturbed and in need of serious medical attention. And that's also relevant to the entity seeking to criminally defame their mental illness projections. Demons. The entity is engaging in this while I am in use of my communication devices. And so you have the Ontario Fire Department that were going berserk. I took pictures of it. They're driving on HOLT Boulevard already, not coming from the fire station sounding sirens. They were already right next to me at HOLT in Euclid, immediately sounding sirens, stalking with activity, just like they are with the Ontario International Airport, the plane, stalking with activity. The moment that I began to log into my account on my phone, that's when the plane that was you were already there. First of all, you didn't come from the airport at that elevation. No, you're not taking off from the airport. Second of all, you were already there lurking when audible noise immediately what happened to the noise before you got to this point? How come no plane activity is heard before you arrive over me flying over the building? These are demons and they're stalking and it's demonic. And this is the entity that's engaging what is obsessive monitoring of my evidence. And it's also the entity that's engaging in their delusion. Their delusion doesn't make any sense though. And their delusion doesn't make any sense to any objective onlooker. Well, you are clearly watching someone, that is myself, defeat a bunch of demons that clearly have been lying to themselves about them being powerful, them being capable, them being smarter, whatever Satan has caused these demons, whom he is using like uncompensated prostitutes, like the sodomites that they are, they're being used up. And Satan is laughing at them, and a lot of other people. I laugh at them, but it's actually not funny, but I do laugh. I laugh. Why would you put yourself on? Why would you put yourself? It's going on the internet. Why would you put yourself on? It's not mysterious nobody knows, so I'm hidden and I'm just gonna look like a psycho flying around in circles, following you around throughout the city. That's not a shared experience with anybody else in the city of Ontario. It's clearly stalking in a spectacular manner. You are not claiming, nor can you reasonably claim, that everybody else is being stalked by helicopter in the same way that I am contending. In addition, you absolutely cannot, because it is not just the behavioral pattern of stalking, it's stalking in the specific environment, which is how you know beyond a reasonable doubt, I am the one that they're stalking. And I've also laid out their demonic behavioral pattern. Stalking with amplified noise, stalking with impossible light activity, all of which is supernatural, demonic. And only mentally ill people engage in more of that which is already demented, that which is already unlawful, that which is already undesirable, that which is already not welcome, that which is harmful to another, that which is illogical, inexplicable. Why would you do that in the first place? You maliciously do that as a police department because you are accustomed to being corrupt and getting away with it. And in fact, you're invigorated. You become more aggressive when you are faced with the fact that maybe this isn't going in the way that I thought, but because I'm a maniacal psychopath, because I'm delusional, because I am egocentric, and because I'm consumed with the way that things look, you are telling yourself that it looks like you're winning even though you're losing, so you just keep doing it, and you're losing as you do that, because I'm also going to prosecute you. But that's, again, the psyche of a psychopath. Demons who are openly exposing themselves. I literally, on another day, you can just count the video, one video after another, after another, after another. This is stalking in a specific environment. The people of the state are not being pursued with a fake sun. The people of the state do not have a body of evidence of a supernatural occurrence of a sun remaining over them. The people of the state I'm documenting, when they drive away, the fake sun doesn't remain over their vehicles. It remains over me. It remains over the Starbucks where I'm sitting inside for over 8 hours, and they're coming in and out as an entity, and that fake sun doesn't leave. It doesn't move with them when they leave the drive-thru. It doesn't move with them when they get off of work. It doesn't move with them when they're coming in and picking up their drink and then driving off. It stays over Starbucks. I've already prosecuted the people of the state. Clear evidence of stalking, nonetheless in a demonic, unbelievable manner, unprecedented, but clearly established and proven. And it's so much proven, even the supernatural character of it is proof. That's what is the fools that followed me from the Ovid Family Community Library to Laurel and D Street to G Street and Fern Avenue at the TABOR Professional Building, when they then remain there, if you were doubting that they're stalking me, and then commence to flying in circles for 8 minutes. Stalking in the path. The fake moon is there in case you were doubting that it is indeed the specific environment. I have 5 shadows all around me. None of that is a product of natural light. That is the P.O.C. And the demons are not only obsessed with me, they're obsessed with stalking me. It is because they are demon possessed. And it is also because they are very delusional. Being captured on video, gang stalking is just like any other crime, is something that you never want to be caught doing, and you don't look innocent doing it. This is what the demons are telling themselves, that there's no consequence, that they don't look like the stalkers that they look like. They're telling themselves that. They clearly look like the stalkers when I have 13, 15 videos. It was the same thing with LAPD. You clearly look like stalkers. I'm gathering 20 to 25 videos every day of you clearly stalking under a sun that rises and sets at the apartment complex in alignment to me. They clearly look like stalkers, and you are learning about how the demonic are targeting. And when doing so, they look like the stalkers that they are, failing in the endeavor to create the illusion of mental illness on the part of that targeted individual. All right, it is currently 10:43 p.m. So I wanted to document that, and this is the entity that's engaging that P.O.C. with impunity. That's how you're legally analyzing it. The Ontario Police is going to be disbanded, and all those who are going to federal prison for engaging in a pattern of kidnapping amongst the Ontario Police since 2018, the impunity and the malice and the that maniacal feature, that's what's serving for a diagnosis of mental illness. That's what's serving for federal prison, a prosecution. All right, and its co-defendant, the people of the state, they're being prosecuted as well. This is 10:44 p.m. They're being prosecuted together. What you hear in the background is evidence of pacing. These are psychopaths who are pacing in engineered light. And they're obsessed with me, and that's why impossible light activity is moving all around me while they are driving vehicles in the street. Stalking. P.O.C. The people of the state are stalking with impossible light, and the demons that are the city of Ontario stalking with commercial planes over G Street. And a demon walking in tow with the plane above is crossing path on foot, stalking in engineered light, monitoring. 10:54 p.m. Gang stalkers still at it, obsessed with me, obsessed with monitoring and stalking me. And the coexisting impossible light that I just referenced is what's occurring while the demons are stalking in commercial planes, nowhere near the airport, like you saw them taking off at 10:45 a.m. Look at G Street and Fern Avenue on a map and see where Holt Boulevard and Vineyard is located. The two are very far apart with regard to a plane taking off from Terminal 2, Terminal 4. Not going to hear it, not going to be even seen in the sky space. You have already taken off and been, like you see on video, where they're perpetually stalking as though the plane is taking off where I'm at. It's the poor form for stalking with plane activity. It's demonic in the first place. It's P.O.C. It's 10:54 p.m. That's amplified. A demon stalking with the Ontario International Airport. Another plane 30 seconds later. Because they have streams of planes deviating from the airport to fly over by G Street, where it would even be heard inside of the Senior Citizen Complex at Unit 51. And where you see them taking off from the airport location at Holt Boulevard, like I captured on video. Because that's what's going on. It's not gang stalking. Right? Obviously, I'm being facetious, and these are the demons that are hostile because they sound stupid when you legally analyze what they're doing, and it is a perfectly framed prosecution for targeting. P.O.C. 10:56 p.m. Are you being weird?
I'm used to being out here, yeah. I haven't been here lately, but...
What can I help you with?
Just to know that you're okay.
Are you gonna help me?
If I can help you, then you help me.
I don't think you can help me.
I got $1 million, what's up?
Why can't I tell you have $1 million? Where is that? This is P.O.C.
I heard you talking,
At 630 North Fern Avenue, stalking with light in front of the house. Now moving the vehicle, which is light activity. When they move their vehicles, impossible light activity moves all over the place. They're stalking with the Ontario International Airport. That's P.O.C. That's again 630 North Fern Avenue in Ontario, California, 91762. It's 11:22 p.m. P.O.C.